Chapter 378. Qing Yi was defeated. Looking at Fei Run, whose aura was like a rainbow and whose body was covered in a crimson golden light, everyone felt their heads spin. They couldn't react in time. Qing Yi, one of the top 10 outer sect disciples and a genius disciple ranked 283rd on the combat strength list, was defeated. Moreover, he was defeated by Fei Run, a newcomer. Previously, Meng Ji was defeated by Gao Yunshin, who ranked first on the newcomer list. Then, Fei Ren defeated Qing Yi with a single punch. Two genius disciples who had left their names on the combat strength list had been defeated on the same day. Such explosive news was enough to cause an uproar among the outer disciples of the Scorching Sun sect. The power of the Dharma Fist is several times stronger than before. Ignoring the shocked gazes of the crowd, Fei Ren slowly retracted his fist and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Although he defeated Qing Yi, there was not much excitement on his face. After all, his opponent was just an outer sect disciple, and his ranking on the combat strength list was not high. He was even near the bottom. Compared to Qing Yi, Fei Ren was facing an even greater threat. After all, he had rejected the invitation of Zhu Wucheng, who was an elite among the inner sect disciples. Not only was he ranked 12th on the combat strength list, but his strength was also far stronger than Qing Yi. They were not on the same level at all. Impossible, I lost. At this time, Qing Yi, who was heavily injured, struggled to get up from the ground. He looked at Fei Ren with eyes full of hatred and fear. He originally thought that he could easily defeat his opponent. However, he never expected that Fei Ren was also a person who pretended to be weak. Not only was his strength not weaker than Gao Yunshin, but he was far stronger. That shocking punch from before was already comparable to his 7th grade martial art. It was not something that an ordinary martial master could withstand. Senior brother Qing Yi, I won this battle. Fei Ren shifted his gaze and looked at the weak Qing Yi not far away. At this moment, the corners of his mouth curled up as he spoke in an indifferent tone. The Dharma Fist was only one of his many trump cards. Moreover, he did not have any grudges with his opponent, so he did not kill him. Damn it, Qing Yi's originally pale face suddenly sank when he heard this, and it was as if he was dying. Although the other party still called him senior brother, even a fool could tell that the mockery in his words was self-evident. As a level 5 martial master expert, he had been defeated by a newcomer who had just been promoted to an outer disciple. Furthermore, he had been defeated with a single punch. This was even more humiliating than when Meng Ji had lost to Gao Yunshin. After all, the former had fought with Gao Yunshin and lost miserably. On the other hand, he had no power to fight back against Fei Ren. Shua. Now that he had lost so much face, Qing Yi no longer had the face to stay in this place. Immediately, he took out a few medicinal pills from his spirit ring and swallowed them, after which he turned around and hurriedly left in a miserable manner. Looks like the outer gate is about to change. After Qing Yi left in a hurry, the surrounding outer court disciples that were spectating the battle had shocked gazes as well, and a portion of them sighed with emotion in their hearts. Obviously, they were all subdued by Fei Ren's formidable strength. Other than Gao Yunshin, who is ranked first on the newcomer list, there is also this Fei Ren in front of us. Two demon-level geniuses actually appeared on the same day. Nodding his head, another outer court disciple continued. A few days later, as the news of Meng Ji and Qing Yi's defeat spread, Fei Ren and Gao Yunshin had also become famous in the Scorching Sun sect. Other than the outer disciples in the sect, even a portion of the inner disciples knew about their deeds. After all, both of them were newcomers who had just been promoted to outer disciple and only had cultivation of level 1 martial master realm. With cultivation of level 1 martial master realm, they had actually defeated Meng Ji and Qing Yi, who had left their names on the combat strength ranking and had already reached level 5 martial master realm. This was enough to show how strong Fei Ren and Gao Yunshin's talents were. With such terrifying potential, even the current sect master of the Scorching Sun sect could not remain calm. Scorching Sun sect, Dubhe Peak. This was the central forbidden area of the Scorching Sun sect, the head of the 5 main peaks. Usually, Only the sect master and high-level elders could enter, while ordinary disciples were not allowed to enter. At the peak of W Peak, in the scorching sun hall sect master, there are two kids from the outer sect who have been in the limelight recently. I wonder if you know of them. A white-haired old man in luxurious clothes spoke as he came to the center of the hall. At the center of the hall, a black-haired, white-robed middle-aged man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes stood quietly. Fei Run and Gao Yunshin, these two kids have caused such a big commotion in the outer sect. Naturally, I know a thing or two about them. As his voice faded, the middle-aged man in white opened his mouth to speak. At the same time, a trace of a smile appeared on his determined face. Sect Master, according to this old man's observation, these two kids have endless potential. If there are no accidents in the future, they will definitely become the pillars of our Scorching Sun sect. They might even help the Scorching Sun sect rise and restore our former glory. The white-haired old man cupped his hands again. His name was Feng Xianyan, and he was the current great elder of the Scorching Sun sect. Not only was he the oldest in the sect, but he was also the fourth-generation successor of the Scorching Sun sect's Feng generation, just like the Enforcement Elder Feng Yan. However, unlike the former's powerful strength, Feng Xuanyan's martial cultivation was only around the first level of the martial spirit realm. He was more skilled in the art of refining, and was a top-notch grade 6 weapon refiner. Some of the high-grade spiritual treasures, defensive armors, and even some weapons in the Scorching Sun sect's treasury were personally refined by the great elder Feng Xianyan. Xianyan, although what you said is a little exaggerated, it's not impossible. The white-robed middle-aged man in the center of the hall nodded and spoke with a deep look in his eyes. Ever since our ancestor, the Scorching Sun King, passed away, our Scorching Sun sect has been deteriorating day by day. Our strength is not as strong as before. Not only did we become a grade 6 force, but we are also being suppressed by the Yi clan of the Great Ming dynasty. The heavens bless our Scorching Sun sect. With the martial Dao potential and talent of these two children, as long as they don't die young in the future, it won't be difficult for them to step into the martial spirit realm. At this point, the white-robed middle-aged man's face was filled with emotions. A glint of light flashed in his deep, dark eyes. "Sect Master, what's your plan?" Hearing this, Feng Xianyan asked again from below the hall. His tone was probing. Although he was the great elder of the Scorching Sun sect, and was also the most senior in the sect, he was not worth mentioning compared to the white-robed middle-aged man in front of him. The white-robed middle-aged man in front of him was called Feng Xianyan. Not only was he a level 4 martial spirit realm expert, but he was also the sect master of the grade 6 Scorching Sun sect. His reputation and strength were prominent in the entire Eastern Sun region, and even the Southeast region. It's hard to hide a true dragon in the water. Let's observe for now. If we old guys show up too early, it might spoil things. In the face of Feng Xuanyan's inquiry, Feng Xianyan only smiled faintly, as if he already had a plan in mind. That's true. Sect Master is wise. Seeing this, the great elder Feng Xianyan did not ask any more questions. He immediately cupped his hands and left. Chapter 379. At the same time, Fei Ren was fully immersed in his cultivation after returning to his cave dwelling at Taiyang Peak. He was unaware of the lively rumors outside, as well as the attention of the Scorching Sun sect leader Feng Xianyan and great elder Feng Xianyan. Inside the cave dwelling, a cool breeze blew past. Phew! After exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Fei Ren opened his eyes and his body shook. Kacha! Accompanied by a throbbing sound from his dantian, the Yuan power aura in his body rose again, reaching Level 2 Martial Master Realm. Level 2 Martial Master Realm. I've finally broken through. Fei Ren stood up abruptly, feeling the majestic energy around him. A rare smile appeared on his handsome face. Originally, according to his normal cultivation speed, it would take him at least half a year to break through to Level 2 Martial Master Realm. However, this time, he had gained a lot from the challenge. After defeating Qing Yi, who was ranked 283rd on the combat strength list, Fei Rin's identity token was rewarded with close to 2,000 contribution points. Furthermore, he was given the right to choose a treasure from the sect's treasury. Fei Rin was not stingy with these contribution points that he had obtained out of nowhere. He exchanged them all for primordial stones. Moreover, they were not ordinary low-grade primordial stones, but the rarer mid-grade primordial stones. Compared to the common low-grade primordial stones, mid-grade primordial stones contain more yuan power. Moreover, 100 low-grade primordial stones could be exchanged for 1 mid-grade primordial stone. Even in a rank 6 sect like the Scorching Sun sect, mid-grade primordial stones were not particularly abundant. As the only overlord of the Eastern Sun region, the Scorching Sun sect controlled 2 mid-grade primordial stone mines and dozens of small low-grade primordial stone mines. The number of mid-grade primordial stones produced every year was only a few 100,000, most of which were consumed internally. On the other hand, Fei Rin relied on the 2,000 contribution points in his hand to exchange for about 2,000 mid-grade primordial stones. An entire 2,000 mid-grade origin stones, the enormous amount of origin energy contained within them was comparable to a few 100,000 low-grade origin stones. Therefore, with the help of the large amount of origin energy contained in the mid-grade origin stone and the assistance of the 9th rank cultivation method, Dharma conversion technique, which had reached the perfection stage, Fei Rin's origin energy cultivation had successfully broken through and stepped into the 2nd level of the Martial Master realm. After his yuan power cultivation had broken through to level 2 Martial Master realm, Fei Rin's overall strength had increased once again. He was now comparable to a level 6 Martial Master realm expert. Even if he were to face some of the weaker inner disciples, he would not be afraid. Chua! A white light flashed from the spirit ring on Fei Rin's finger. In the next moment, Fei Rin took out a smooth, sparkling, and translucent light blue spirit stone. There wasn't a single flaw on the surface of the light blue spirit stone. It was like a precious jade, and as soon as it was exposed to the air, it emitted a mysterious aura. It was obviously an extraordinary item with a rare value. Star stones. Holding the light blue spirit stone tightly in his hand, Fei Rin's eyes sparkled. This light blue spirit stone was called a star stone. It was a rare treasure that had fallen from outer space. Not only was its defense indestructible, but its quality was also very good. It could absorb a martial artist's origin energy and unleash a power that was several times stronger. In the world of martial artists, star stones were usually used as materials to refine spiritual treasures, weapons, and armors. They were very rare and were usually priceless. Even if you had a large amount of low-grade origin stones, it was not easy to buy a star stone. If it was a good quality star stone that was suitable to refine spiritual treasures, it would be even more difficult. It was very likely that you would need to try your luck. The reason why Fei Rin was able to obtain such a palm-sized star rock was because of his good luck. A few days ago, he defeated Qin Yi and was ranked 283rd on the combat strength list. He had also obtained the right to choose a treasure from the sect's treasury. The star stone in front of him was something that he had carefully selected from the sect's treasury. If I can integrate this star stone into the green dragon halberd, the green dragon halberd's power would increase several times. It could even be comparable to a tier 6 or 7 spiritual treasure. As he thought to himself, Fei Rin's face was filled with emotions. He had his own considerations when he chose this star stone as a reward. Now, as his strength continued to increase, the green dragon halberd, a tier 5 spiritual treasure, was also gradually declining in power and usefulness. And now, Fei Rin needed a more powerful weapon to be his natal spiritual treasure. I wonder if there are any tier 6 and above craftsmen in the Scorching Sun sect now. Playing with the star stone in his hand again, Fei Rin sighed to himself. A touch of helplessness appeared on his face. Although the star stone in his hand was of good quality and was the size of a palm, it was enough to refine a tier 6 or even a tier 7 spiritual treasure. However, Fei Rin knew nothing about crafting. He had never come into contact with it. Unless he could find a skilled craftsman to perfectly integrate the star stone and the green dragon halberd, and then refine it into a new powerful spiritual treasure. However, to do this, one would need to be at least a Tier 6 craftsman. Otherwise, there was a high chance of failure. The principle was similar to alchemy. Once the crafting failed, not only would the materials be wasted, but the spiritual treasure would also be destroyed. Therefore, Fei Ren was very cautious about the idea of reforging the green dragon halberd. Forget it. I'll find another opportunity in the future. Collecting his thoughts, Fei Ren no longer thought about reforging the green dragon halberd. Whoosh! Throwing the star stone into the spirit ring, Fei Ren leaped out of the cave and ran toward the outside world. Haste makes waste. The reforging of the green dragon halberd could not be rushed, and he had more important things to do now. Now that Fei Ren had used up all his contribution points to break through, he could only accept the sect's missions if he wanted to quickly obtain more contribution points. After a while, Fei Ren arrived in front of the sect's main hall. At this moment, the sect's main hall was bustling with people. Many outer court disciples and new disciples were coming and going. Some of the outer court disciples seemed to have noticed Fei Ren's figure and looked at him with surprise and admiration. After all, his name had spread throughout the Scorching Sun sect. Almost everyone knew about him. With the cultivation of level 1 martial master, not only did he defeat Qin Yi, who was ranked 283rd on the list of combat strength, but he also won in one move. Now, Fei Ren had become the idol of some outer court disciples. Even Gao Yunshen, who was ranked first on the list of newcomers, was far from being as popular as him. With my current strength, accepting a 5-star mission should not be a problem. I can also avoid the revenge of that bastard Zhu Wucheng. With the breakthrough in his cultivation, Fei Ren's plan was very clear. Back then, he had rejected the inner court disciple Zhu Wucheng's invitation. With the other party's vengeful nature, it was inevitable that he would take revenge. Fei Ren was very clear that although Zhu Wucheng did not do anything on the surface, he would definitely make a move in the dark. The current situation was just the calm before the storm. The current him was still not a match for Zhu Wucheng. For this reason, he could only continue to increase his strength and not be negligent in the slightest. As for accepting the sect's missions, it was the best choice. Not only could he go out to train, he could also earn contribution points. It could be said to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Chapter 380. If I'm not mistaken, he is Fei Ren, right? I didn't expect him to defeat Qin Yi, one of the top 10 outer disciples, with a mere cultivation of level 1 martial master. What a ruthless person! This person's talent and strength are even more abnormal than Gao Yunshen, the former number 1 on the newcomer list. If there are no accidents in the future, he will definitely be promoted to an inner disciple. At this moment, in front of the sect hall, some outer disciples were also discussing. In the face of everyone's discussion, Fei Ren ignored them and stepped into the hall. "Hello, I would like to receive a sect mission," Fei Ren said as he came to an empty window. Opposite him was a middle-aged man in a green robe. He seemed to be an ordinary elder of the Scorching Sun sect. His cultivation had reached LV 7 Martial Master Realm, which was much stronger than the ordinary deacons of the outer sect. Level 2 Martial Master? Glancing at Fei Ren in front of him, the middle-aged man's eyebrows slightly twitched. Soon after, he retrieved a thick black scroll from his spirit ring and said in an indifferent tone, "There are many things in this scroll. You can choose which sect mission you want." There were many missions in the black file, but most of them were below 3-star. After all, Fei Ren's origin power cultivation was only at level 2 Martial Master. In the middle-aged man's opinion, he was just a newcomer who had just been promoted to an outer disciple. Some of the high-star missions were not worthy of him. 2-star mission, exterminate the bandits. Kill the bandit leader of the Black Cloud stronghold in the Katter Desert. The reward is 100 contribution points. 2-star mission, kill the tarantula and obtain the poison sac in its body. The reward is 150 contribution points. 3-star mission, collect a 100-year-old ecstasy flower. Its rank is at least level 4. The reward is 350 contribution points. This amount of contribution points is not enough. After a quick glance, Fei Ren frowned slightly and closed the black file with both hands. Senior, are there any higher-level sect missions? With his current strength, these sect missions below 3-star were a piece of cake. Even if he received them, it would be a waste of time, and he would not be able to earn much contribution points. Therefore, Fei Ren was not interested in these sect missions. A more advanced sect mission? Hearing this, the middle-aged man was stunned for a moment. Then, he looked up and sized up Fei Ren with a strange expression. Junior, 3-star and above sect missions are not easy. With your strength, you might lose your life, the middle-aged man admonished, clearly feeling that the other party was overestimating himself. After all, a level 2 martial master was nothing in the Scorching Sun sect's outer sect disciples. It was considered to be below average. Even some of the outer disciples who were ranked on the combat power list would at most accept some 4-star missions, and they had to team up. Generally, they wouldn't dare to act alone. After all, 3-star and above missions were much more difficult. Yes. However, to the middle-aged man's surprise, Fei Ren was very determined, and he cupped his hands again. Fine, young man. Don't blame me for not reminding you. It's good to have a dream, but it's not worth it to lose your life. Seeing Fei Ren's determined face, the middle-aged man shook his head. Then he took out another yellow scroll and said, These are all 3-star and above sect missions. Pick whichever one you like. Thank you, Senior. Fei Ren's lips curled into a grin as he took the yellow dossier. It didn't matter if the middle-aged man thought highly of him. He just wanted to accept a high-star mission as soon as possible and go out to train. Opening the yellow scroll, Fei Ren's eyes read 10 lines at a glance, and he quickly skimmed through the sect missions. Just as the middle-aged man said, the sect missions in this scroll were much more advanced than the ones in the black scroll. The lowest was a 4-star mission, and there were even 6-star and 7-star missions. 4-star mission. Go to Greenwood City and resolve the dispute between the Li and Song families. Reward, 1,000 contribution points. 5-star mission. Kill the Sandworm King and obtain its head. Reward, 2,000 contribution points. 7-star mission. Obtain a magic core no lower than the Earth rank. Reward, 100,000 contribution points. 100,000 contribution points. His gaze stopped on a line of black words. At this time, Fei Ren sucked in a breath of cold air, and his face was filled with shock. The contribution points rewarded for this 7-star mission were terrifying. 100,000 contribution points. Such a huge amount of contribution points was enough to exchange for several 6th-grade spirit treasures in the sect's treasury. However, the difficulty of this 7-star mission was as high as the sky. To obtain a magic core no lower than the Earth rank, even some of the top geniuses in the inner sect might not be able to complete it. After all, the value of an Earth rank magic core was obvious to all. Every Earth rank magic beast with a magic core in its body was no weaker than a martial spirit realm expert. With Fei Ren's current strength, dealing with a few spirit rank magic beasts was his limit. If he faced an Earth rank magic beast, he would die on the spot even if he used all his trump cards. The difference in strength was too great, and he was no match for it. With my current strength, I'd better not seek my own death. Although the temptation of 100,000 contribution points was not small, Fei Ren immediately resisted the impulse in his heart. At the same time, he turned his gaze to another sect mission. 5-star mission. Kill the Sandworm King, this is it. Narrowing his eyes, Fei Ren immediately put away the yellow scroll. At the same time, he cupped his hands toward the middle-aged man and said, Senior, I would like to accept this 5-star mission. The difficulty of this 5-star mission was just right for him, and the contribution points rewarded were not small either. It was a total of 2,000 points. Sandworms were desert magic beasts that lived in dry areas of the desert. They were very cunning and hid deep underground for many years. They only appeared when they went out to hunt, and their strength was no less than a martial master expert. As for the Sandworm King, it evolved from an adult sandworm. Its appearance was no different from an ordinary sandworm, but its body was much larger. Moreover, Its magic fluctuation was very powerful. Ordinary magic masters below the 6th level were no match for it. There was a high chance that they would be devoured and turned into food. 5-star mission. Kill the Sandworm King? Young man, do you really want to accept this mission? At this moment, after knowing Fei Ren's intention, the middle-aged man's face changed slightly. Then, a strong sense of disbelief and strangeness surged up. After all, the outside world knew how powerful a Sandworm King was. Even if the middle-aged man himself faced a Sandworm King, it would take a lot of effort to kill it, and there was even the risk of him failing miserably. However, Fei Ren in front of him, who was only at the 2nd level martial master, dared to accept a 5-star mission and kill the Sandworm King. This naturally made him feel incredulous. Chapter 381. Yes, Senior. Seeing the middle-aged man's reaction, Fei Ren cupped his hands and said calmly. Although the middle-aged man was an ordinary elder of the Blazing Flame sect, he did not know his true strength. Although Fei Ren's cultivation was only at LV2 Martial Master, he had many trump cards in his hands. His combat strength was far beyond that of an ordinary outer disciple. Moreover, he had already cultivated the Dharma transformation technique to the greater mastery realm and comprehended the incomplete acquired tyrant body, the Dharma golden body. Coupled with the green dragon halberd and his self-created martial art, the Dharma fist, and many other trump cards, even an LV6 martial master might not be a match for Fei Ren. Therefore, Fei Ren was determined to complete the 5-star mission of killing the Sandworm King. Young man, do you know what kind of creature the Sandworm King is? This beast wanders in the depths of the Katar Desert all year round. It's extremely powerful. Even an LV6 martial master is in danger of losing his life. The middle-aged man spoke again before the surprise on his face faded. At the same time, his eyebrows furrowed. Although he did not know Fei Ren, he was still an outer disciple of the Blazing Sun sect. As an ordinary elder of the Blazing Sun sect, the middle-aged man did not want to see Fei Ren die for nothing. Therefore, he advised Fei Ren to give up on this ridiculous idea. Thank you for your reminder, Senior, but I must accept this 5-star mission. Faced with the middle-aged man's reminder, Fei Ren grinned and smiled. His tone was very firm. It was obvious that he had made up his mind. Fine, do as you wish. If you lose your life, don't blame me for not reminding you. Seeing Fei Ren's determination, the middle-aged man's mouth twitched. He then put away the file in his hand and said, in his opinion, although Fei Ren's courage to accept the 5-star mission was commendable, he was still too weak and too young. There was a high chance that he would not be able to complete the mission. Moreover, he would die in the stomach of the Sandworm King. After receiving the 5-star mission of killing the Sandworm King, Fei Ren did not stay in the sect hall any longer. Instead, he turned around and left. According to the records in the dossier, sandworms usually lived in dry areas of the desert. There were also signs of sandworms in the Katar Desert, which was close to the border of the Great Ming Dynasty. Sandworms usually lived in groups, and their leader was the Sandworm King. Because these sandworms lived deep underground all year round and only appeared when they were out looking for food, it was not easy to find a Sandworm King in the vast Katar Desert. Fei Ren had to make some preparations in advance. Apart from that, Fei Ren also planned to store some advanced recovery elixirs and healing elixirs in his spirit ring in case of an emergency. After all, his cultivation was only at the 2nd level of the Martial Master realm. No matter how strong he was still only one person. The Dantian's origin energy was limited. If he didn't carry some pills with him, Fei Ren might be in danger if he encountered some powerful opponents. Fortunately, I still have some demon cores and other materials left from refining pills. I can use them to exchange for low-grade primordial stones. Fei Ren was deep in thought. When he refined the Soaring Cloud pill last time, he still had a portion of the profound gray monster cores and various herbs below the 3rd grade. Although the value of these things was not high, they could be exchanged for a lot of low-grade primordial stones. Moreover, with these low-grade primordial stones, Fei Ren could also use them to purchase some recovery pills and blood revitalization pills. He could make the best use of them. Recovery pills, as the name suggested, could restore the origin energy in a martial artist's dantian. The speed of recovery was related to the quality of the pills. As for the blood-invigorating pill, it was a healing pill commonly used by martial master realm experts. Although it was only a grade 3 pill, its effect was very good. It could quickly stop bleeding and activate the meridians. At the same time, it could heal the body's injuries. A grade 3 blood-invigorating pill only cost 2,000 low-grade primordial stones. Scorching Sun Sect, in front of a cave on Taiyang Peak. Senior Brother Ju, if I'm not mistaken, this is Fei Ren's residence. Ma Kuahai's face was full of flattery as he cupped his hands towards the red-haired youth in front of him. The red-haired youth was high-spirited and wore a brocade martial robe. He was an elite among the inner disciples, Zhu Wucheng, who was ranked 12th on the combat strength list. Fei Ren. Zhu Wucheng's eyes were cold as he snorted coldly. His face revealed a trace of murderous intent. I didn't expect this ant to be able to defeat Qing Yi. It seems that I have underestimated him. At the beginning, when Fei Ren forced Deacon Su Rong to retreat, Zhu Wucheng saw a trace of potential in him. At the same time, he sent Ma Kuahai, his lackey, to rope him in. However, Zhu Wucheng did not expect that Fei Ren had hidden his strength. In just a few days after entering the sect, Fei Ren had not only broken through to the first level of the martial master realm, but he had also defeated Qing Yi, who was ranked 283rd on the combat strength list in the battle arena, making a name for himself. In these few days, Fei Ren's reputation had not only spread among the outer disciples, but even a portion of the inner disciples had heard of him. Zhu Wucheng was an elite among the inner court disciples. Naturally, he had heard of all these rumors. Senior Brother, are you going to personally take action? Sensing the dense murderous intent on Zhu Wucheng's body, Ma Kuahai swallowed his saliva and asked carefully. Initially, he was very disdainful of Fei Ren. He felt that Fei Ren was too arrogant and that offending Zhu Wucheng was equivalent to courting death. However, after Fei Ren defeated Qing Yi, one of the top 10 outer disciples, Ma Kuahai's impression of Fei Ren had completely changed. Now, there was only a deep fear in his heart. After all, Qing Yi was a top genius on the combat strength list. His Yuan power cultivation had already reached level 5 martial master. Although the two of them were both among the top 10 outer disciples, Ma Kuahai was at the bottom. Not only was he not on the combat strength list, but his strength was also far inferior to Meng Ji. Therefore, he naturally did not dare to provoke Fei Ren. If it were not for Zhu Wucheng, an inner disciple, by his side, Ma Kuahai would not have dared to find trouble with Fei Ren even if he had 10,000 guts. I heard that the kid went to the sect hall. I think he wants to leave the Scorching Sun sect to train. This is a good opportunity. Ignoring Ma Kuahai's probing, Zhu Wucheng only stretched out his slender right hand and clenched it into a fist. The murderous intent on his handsome face intensified. Although he could not kill Fei Ren in the Scorching Sun sect, once Fei Ren left the Scorching Sun sect, it would be hard to say. In the past, every year, a portion of the Scorching Sun sect disciples would die outside. If Fei Ren died outside, even if the sect's upper echelons felt that something was amiss, they would not be able to find out anything. If this kid had joined the Impermanence gang, he might have been able to keep his life. Tisk, he just had to provoke Senior Brother Ju. Looks like this kid is dead for sure. As soon as he finished speaking, Ma Kuahai's expression changed slightly. He was secretly resentful, but he remained silent. He seemed to think that Fei Ren was already a dying man. After all, in the Scorching Sun sect, very few outer disciples dared to reject Zhu Wucheng's invitation. Most of them would join the Impermanence gang. However, not only did Fei Ren reject Zhu Wucheng, but he also slapped Zhu Wucheng's face with disdain. This was tantamount to igniting the anger in Zhu Wucheng's heart, which would lead to his death. Chapter 382. Taiyang Peak. Before Fei Run had even returned to his cave, he suddenly felt a sense of uneasiness in his heart. Moreover, as time passed, this sense of uneasiness grew stronger. What's going on? Fei Run made up his mind. In the next moment, he sped up and flew toward a certain place on the peak. In front of the cave, the vegetation was the same as before. "Kid, you're finally back." Just as Fei Ren's figure landed, a man's mocking voice came from not far in front of him. It was Ma Kuai. At this moment, Ma Kuai's face was filled with mockery. Perhaps because of Zhu Wuchang's support, his courage had grown. "It's you." Fei Ren's eyes narrowed when he saw that the person in front of him was Ma Kuai. Back then, Ma Kuai had wanted to recruit him into the Impermanence Gang. However, Fei Ren had no interest in the internal conflicts between the sect's disciples. Therefore, he had directly rejected Ma Kuai, even though Ma Kuai had the support of a top inner-sect genius, Zhu Wuchang. At this moment, beside Ma Kuai stood a red-haired young man in a brocade martial robe. The red-haired young man emitted a terrifying Yuan power aura. It was like the abyss of hell, causing one's heart to palpitate. He did not come with good intentions. Fei Ren's heart trembled, and his face turned solemn. "Ma Kuai, what are you doing here?" Although he knew that the other party did not come with good intentions, Fei Ren still asked. "Fei Ren, you're just an outer sect disciple. Why don't you kneel down and greet Senior Brother Zhu?" However, Ma Kuai ignored Fei Ren's question. He curled his lips and sneered. In his opinion, although the other party was powerful and had once defeated Qin Yi, who was ranked 283rd on the combat strength list, he was still no match for Zhu Wuchang. "Senior Brother Zhu sent me to recruit you last time because he thinks highly of you. Kid, if you don't take the face I'm giving you, you'll get yourself killed." Thinking of this, Ma Kuai's confidence increased greatly, and his words were filled with provocation. "So he's Zhu Wuchang." As he finished speaking, Fei Ren's gaze landed on the red-haired youth beside Ma Kuai. His face suddenly darkened. The man's origin energy aura was extremely terrifying. He was much stronger than the middle-aged man he met in the sect's main hall. He had already reached LV8 Martial Master Realm, far stronger than most of the Scorching Sun sect's disciples. Clearly, this red-haired young man was one of the top geniuses in the inner sanctum, Zhu Wuchang, ranked 12th on the combat power ranking. "Looks like the news of me defeating Qing Yi has already spread throughout the entire sect." In the face of Zhu Wuchang's arrival, the corners of Fei Ren's mouth curled up slightly. Then, he collected himself and sneered. "Kneel? Ma, who do you think you are? You're just a lackey." "You." Ma Kuai's face turned red as he flew into a rage out of humiliation. However, before he could say anything, he was stopped by Zhu Wuchang. "You're Fei Ren? Am I right?" Zhu Wuchang said indifferently as he looked coldly at Fei Ren. "Exactly." Fei Ren's face was calm as he spoke again. This was the Taiyang Peak where the outer sanctum disciples lived. Under the restrictions of the Scorching Sun sect's rules, no matter how powerful Zhu Wuchang was, he would not dare to openly attack him. Therefore, this was where Fei Ren's confidence came from. "You don't know the rules. Today, let me teach you what the rules are." Shaking his head, Zhu Wuchang sighed. At the same time, a strange look of viciousness appeared on his handsome face. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Swoosh! Not good. His figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. In the next moment, Fei Ren's heart skipped a beat as if an invisible death crisis had struck him. Bang! In an instant, Zhu Wuchang's slender palm imprinted heavily on Fei Ren's left shoulder. An extremely large amount of fiery red origin energy instantly exploded. It was as if a heavenly fire had descended, causing a blazing wind to howl. Even the surrounding temperature rose significantly. Bang! Rumble! In the face of Zhu Wuchang's violent attack at such a close distance, Fei Ren could not avoid it, and his entire body fell backward. Poochie! The scarlet golden light around his body dissipated. After retreating a dozen steps, Fei Ren finally managed to stop himself. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His handsome face was pale and filled with anger. This damn guy. Clenching his teeth, Fei Ren slowly raised his eyes to look at Zhu Wuchang opposite him. His hands quietly clenched under his sleeves as his eyes instantly turned red. If he had not used the Dharma golden body, Zhu Wuchang's palm would have been enough to severely injure him. Moreover, the power of this palm was no less than the full force of a level 6 martial master expert. Although the opponent did not use his full strength, Zhu Wuchang's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. Those who want to kill me will all die in the end. Thinking of this, Fei Ren's heart burned with anger. Ever since he stepped onto the martial path, he had faced countless life and death situations. Why had he ever suffered such a great loss? Seeing that Fei Ren had not fallen after taking his palm, Zhu Wuchang softly exclaimed. His cold and emotionless eyes revealed a trace of surprise. As an inner disciple and a level 8 martial master expert, he was confident that the power of this palm was enough to severely injure or even kill Fei Ren. However, not only did Fei Ren block his palm, but he also only suffered a slight injury. Therefore, Zhu Wuchang felt a little surprised at this moment. As expected, you have some ability. No wonder you can defeat that trash Qing Yi. Zhu Wuchang grinned and then stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes revealed a trace of ridicule and disdain as he looked at Fei Ren as if he was looking at an insignificant ant. He did not intend to attack again. Trash. On the side, Ma Kuai's face was awkward. After all, in the eyes of the other party, if even Fei Ren was considered trash, then wouldn't he, a 4th-level martial master, be worse than trash? Zhu Wuchang, you are indeed very strong, but you can't crush me with this little trick. If you insist on fighting, I'll accompany you to the end. Slowly straightening up, Fei Ren's eyes were cold. At the same time, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. With just you? What a joke. You're just an ant. What qualifications do you have to fight me? In the face of Fei Ren's challenge, Zhu Wuchang laughed loudly. His white face revealed a trace of disdain, as if he had heard some kind of joke. Kid, if I want to kill you, it'll only take a snap of my fingers. Zhu Wuchang's face revealed a sinister expression. 3 months. With a cold smile, Fei Ren raised his head and looked at Zhu Wuchang opposite him. His clear and dark eyes flashed with fighting spirit and killing intent. Zhu Wuchang, in 3 months, you and I will fight to the death. Do you dare to fight? Since Zhu Wuchang insisted on killing him over a small matter, Fei Ren naturally would not show mercy. Although he was not Zhu Wuchang's opponent for now, that might not be the case in the future. What he needed now was time to grow. Now that Fei Ren had many trump cards and had fused with the divine Immortal Cauldron, when his cultivation improved, Zhu Wuchang would not be his opponent either. For him, 3 months was more than enough. Chapter 383. Just you. Gloomy vulture's gaze swept across Fei Ren. Zhu Wuchang's lips curled into a mocking smile as he coldly said, Little brat, since you insist on courting death, I will fulfill your wish. To him, Fei Ren was only a level 2 martial master and was no different from an ant. Even if Zhu Wuchang was given 3 months to grow, Fei Ren would still be no match for him. 3 months later, I'll break your neck with my own hands. Zhu Wuchang snorted and withdrew his cold gaze. He then turned into a wisp of green smoke and left the Taiyang Peak. After all, this was the Taiyang Peak and was bound by the rules of the Scorching Sun sect. If he were to kill someone now, he would inevitably be severely punished by the upper echelons of the sect. And in the gambling match 3 months later, regardless of life or death, he would be able to kill Fei Ren without any worries, and there would be no need to rush. Therefore, Zhu Wuchang did not reject Fei Ren's duel. Senior brother Zhu. At this moment, seeing Zhu Wuchang turn and leave, Ma Kuai hurriedly followed behind, not daring to stay any longer. After all, Fei Ren's strength was obvious to all. Not only did Fei Ren defeat Qing Yi, one of the top 10 disciples of the outer sect, but he had also withstood Zhu Wuchang's full-powered palm strike. Even if Fei Ren was injured, he was not someone a 4th-level martial master could contend against. Ugh! After Zhu Wuchang and the others left, Fei Rin's body trembled, and then he fell to the ground powerlessly. He could only support himself with his hands. At this moment, blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth, and at the same time, his face became extremely pale. Although he had the protection of the Dharma golden body, the difference in cultivation between the two sides was too great. After taking a full blow from Zhu Wuchang, Fei Rin's injuries were not light. In fact, they could even be said to be very serious. His relaxed appearance before was due to his willpower. If he was an ordinary outer disciple, he would have vomited blood and fainted or even died on the spot. Zhu Wuchang. Unwillingness, humiliation. At this moment, the flames of anger roared in Fei Rin's heart. The other party wanted to kill him, and so did he. Ha! I haven't had this feeling in a long time, this feeling of wanting to kill someone. Grinning, Fei Rin's snow-white face revealed a strange smile. At the same time, he clenched his fists tightly, his nails digging deep into his palms. Touch the reverse scale of a dragon, and you will die. Feeling the piercing pain coming from his palm, Fei Rin felt a mysterious warm current gushing out from the depths of his dantian. Fei Rin's originally extremely pale complexion recovered a little as the warm current flowed into his entire body and his meridians. A baleful aura filled his eyes. That was the power of the smelting immortal cauldron. Ever since he had fused with the smelting immortal cauldron, not only had Fei Rin's talent and comprehension greatly increased, but his body's self-healing ability had also greatly increased. Even without a host consciousness, he would slowly recover from his injuries. However, the smelting immortal cauldron's power had not yet recovered to its peak, and Fei Rin's own strength was still weak, so the healing effect was very slow. Now, if Fei Rin wanted to quickly recover from his injuries, he would need to consume some high-grade healing elixirs. Outside the cave, the sound of the wind gradually rose. The next moment, a gray-robed figure appeared out of thin air and slowly landed in front of Fei Rin. Zhu Wuchang is a sinister and cunning person who will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. If you provoke this guy, you probably won't be able to survive in the Scorching Sun sect in the future. Looking at the heavily injured Fei Rin in front of him, Gao Yunshan frowned slightly. He had seen the conflict between Zhu Wuchang and Zhu Wuchang. Although he was a sword genius who was extremely good at attacking, even he did not have much of a chance of winning against Zhu Wuchang. After all, Zhu Wuchang's cultivation base was obvious, and he was also a top genius. An ordinary Scorching Sun sect disciple would not be able to fight against him. Therefore, when Zhu Wuchang attacked earlier, Gao Yunshan did not rashly stop him. However, geniuses always sympathized with each other. He was also very concerned about Fei Rin's encounters and strength. He is indeed very strong, but looking up at Gao Yunshan, Fei Rin's eyes flashed with boundless killing intent. The person who will survive in the end will be me. Looking at Fei Rin, who was filled with killing intent, Gao Yunshan was only stunned for a moment. Then, his brows furrowed tightly, and he did not say anything. Although he did not know where Zhu Wuchang's confidence came from, the news of Fei Rin defeating Qingyi that day had reached his ears. Perhaps in just 3 months, Zhu Wuchang could really create a miracle and win the life and death duel in the challenge arena and kill Zhu Wuchang. I hope so. Looking again at Fei Rin, who had not recovered from his injuries, Gao Yunshan's eyes looked meaningful. Then he turned and left. Above the Scorching Sun sect, the clouds were 10,000 feet high. Fengyan, are you sure you don't want to fight? This little kid is a good seedling that you brought to the Scorching Sun sect. If anything happens to him, not only will you not feel bad, but the sect master will also blame me. Glancing at Fengyan beside him, Great Elder Feng Xianyan stroked his beard and smiled. Then, he said in a faint tone, as if he was hinting at something. Although he was the Scorching Sun sect's Great Elder and held a high position, he did not put on any airs in front of Fengyan, as if he was facing an old friend. After all, Feng Yun was also the Scorching Flame sect's only law enforcement elder. Moreover, the two of them were the fourth generation of the Scorching Sun sect's Feng generation. They usually treated each other as fellow disciples in the sect. Fight! Facing Feng Xuanyun's probing, Feng Yun snorted and said indifferently, "You have all underestimated Fei Ren's strength. A mere Zhu Wuchang can't do anything to this kid. Just you wait. There is no need for me to fight. We will know in 3 months." As a martial spirit realm expert, his Yuan power perception was very strong. Even the slightest movement of grass within a radius of thousands of feet could not escape his eyes and ears. The conflict between Fei Ren and Zhu Wuchang on Taiyang Peak also fell into Feng Yun's eyes. However, he had no intention of helping Fei Ren, even though the latter was a martial arts genius that he favored. In Feng Yun's opinion, if Fei Ren could not even deal with a mere Zhu Wuchang, he would be disappointed instead. But speaking of which, this little kid does have some ability. I also want to see how far he can go in the end. As his voice fell, Feng Xinyan nodded slightly, as if he agreed with Feng Yun's words. 7 days later, in the Katar Desert in the southeastern region. If the information is correct, we should be able to find groups of sandworms near tribes and places with human habitation. As long as there are enough sandworms, there might be a sandworm king born. Spreading out the map in his hand, Fei Ren pondered. After nearly a week of flying, he finally left the Scorching Sun sect's Eastern Sun region and arrived at the Katar Desert near the Great Ming Empire's border. Sandworm kings and sandworms generally like to gather in places with tribes and human habitation. The map in his hand recorded the location of some tribes of various sizes in the Katar Desert. This was also one of the few clues he could find about the Sandworm King. Chapter 384. As the Katar Desert was very vast, there was no end in sight. It was close to 1,000,000 miles in radius. Therefore, Fei Ren could only find them based on their habits. Otherwise, not only would it be a waste of time, but it would also be very troublesome. After all, these sandworms would usually gather in tribes with human settlements to survive and have an abundance of food. They would hide underground at night and look for an opportunity to come out during the day to look for food. Other than that, not all sandworm tribes had a sandworm king. If there were too few sandworm tribes, they would not be able to give birth to a sandworm king. Therefore, Fei Ren wanted to find a sandworm king and chop off its head to complete this 5-star sect mission. It would more or less depend on luck. Keeping the map in his hand, Fei Ren's gaze turned towards the northeast, which was not far away from the desert. There he suddenly felt a large amount of origin power fluctuations. Not only were the origin power fluctuations very complicated, but there were also a few auras that were very powerful. Maybe it's a caravan coming to the Katar Desert. When he first stepped into the Katar Desert, he bumped into the Lin family from Black Rock City. As the Katar Desert was located at the border and isolated from the rest of the world, not only martial artists and row cultivators, but also most caravans that wanted to go to the Great Ming Dynasty had to pass through here. Swoosh! Collecting his thoughts, Fei Ren also left the place and flew toward the northeast direction of the desert. Deep in the desert, in front of the hillside. Run? Why aren't you running? More than 20 sand bandits in gray robes and yellow headscarves surrounded a young man and woman. The leader of the group was a bearded man with a knife scar at the corner of his eye. At this moment, he was looking at the young woman with a teasing gaze. There was a hint of lust in his eyes. The young woman was wearing a short skirt made of animal skin. Her figure was tall and graceful. Although her face was slightly yellowish and she didn't have much makeup on, she still revealed a trace of wild beauty. Beside her was a young man who was also wearing an animal skin suit. The young man's face was dark and his body was as strong as a mountain. He carried a silver horn spear on his back. At first glance, it was obvious that he was a martial artist. At the same time, the origin power fluctuation on his body had reached level 2 martial master. His strength was very impressive. These damn sand bandits. Brother, what should we do? Trapped in a tight encirclement, the young woman turned her head to look at the young man beside her. Her eyes could not help but be a little flustered. Both of them were tribesmen from a nearby tribe. Originally, They only planned to go out to hunt magical beasts to earn food and materials for the tribe. But they did not expect to be surrounded by bandits and be in danger. Find an opportunity and kill our way out. Glancing at the young woman beside him, the young man's face darkened. Then he pulled out the silver horn spear behind him, and a flame of battle intent flashed in his eyes. His name was Tai Lei, and the young woman was his younger sister, Tai Xian. Originally, Tai Lei didn't want to fight. Instead, he was looking for an opportunity to break out of the encirclement and escape. However, this group of bandits was not only powerful, but their leader was also very cunning. After a round of pursuit, they still managed to entangle the siblings. In addition, the group of bandits in front of Tai Lei and his sister was also the most powerful in the Katter Desert. They were the famous yellow turban bandits. Because everyone wore a yellow turban headdress, their notoriety spread far and wide. Compared to the Black Cloud stronghold bandits that Fei Rin encountered, the yellow turban bandits in front of them were not only numerous, but their leader's cultivation was also not weak. He had also reached the Martial Master Realm, and he was at LV4 Martial Master Realm. Therefore, Tai Lei and his sister were also caught in a tough battle. However, this group of yellow turban bandits in front of them seemed to want to capture them alive. They did not launch an attack on the two of them. We can't let Tai Xian fall into the hands of these bastards. Tai Lei clenched his fists. At this moment, his face was also solemn, and his eyes were bursting with battle intent. He knew very well how cruel and ruthless these yellow turban bandits in front of him were. Basically, every woman who fell into their hands would end up very miserable. Most of them would be humiliated to death, and even endure inhumane torture. Futile struggle. You can't escape from my palm. Seeing Tai Lei's stubborn resistance, the bearded man in the lead sneered, and the corner of his mouth revealed a hint of mockery. He was at LV4 Martial Master Realm, and he had a group of bandits under him. Naturally, he did not take Tai Lei and his sister seriously. Moreover, even without the help of the bandits under him, the bearded man could easily deal with Tai Lei and his sister by himself. This was the difference in strength. After all, Tai Lei's cultivation was only at LV2 Martial Master Realm, and Tai Xian, who was beside him, was even weaker. She had just broken through to LV1 Martial Master Realm. Little girl, if you surrender obediently and lie there to serve our boss well, maybe our boss will be happy and spare your little lives. At this time, a sharp-mouthed bandit with a monkey-like face also rode forward on a horse. He then joked, and his gaze also unscrupulously swept over the hot and beautiful Tai Xian. You're dreaming. Facing the lecherous gaze of the bandit, the young woman named Tai Xian was furious. At the same time, a wisp of extraordinary origin energy gushed out from her dantian. It seemed that she planned to fight to the death rather than become the plaything of this group of yellow turban bandits. There are no cowards in our Thunder Snake tribe. At the side, Tai Lei also said coldly. At the same time, the silver-horned spear in his hand swayed and pointed at the bearded man opposite him. Since you don't know how to appreciate favors, I'll fulfill your wish. All of you attack. Seeing that Tai Lei and his sister were unwilling to surrender, the bearded man also snorted coldly. Then his figure flashed and disappeared from the spot, immediately attacking the two of them. Kill! The moment the bearded man attacked, the surrounding yellow turban bandits also took out their soul treasures and pounced on Tai Lei and his sister. For a moment, the sound of battle shook the sky. Clang! 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 A cold light first arrived, and then the spear was like a dragon. The silver-horned spear in Tai Lei's hand swept out like a dragon, instantly forcing back the siege of several yellow turban bandits. Die! Tai Lei's figure flashed and arrived in front of a level 1 Martial Master Realm yellow turban bandit. In the next moment, the silver-horned spear in Tai Lei's hand pierced through the yellow turban bandit's chest, causing blood to gush out. The yellow turban bandit's eyes widened, and then his body fell to the ground powerlessly. Soon he stopped breathing. After all, Tai Lei's origin power cultivation was at level 2 Martial Master realm. Other than the bearded man, the rest of the yellow turban bandits could not do anything to him. Get out of my way. On the other side, Tai Xian was also besieged by several yellow turban bandits. An iron whip full of barbs appeared in her hand, which seemed to be some kind of soul treasure. At this moment, she was also in the midst of a fierce battle. Bang! Ah! Ah! With a swing of her iron whip, Tai Xian immediately whipped away the 2 yellow turban bandits who were at the 10th level of the Star Realm. The 2 yellow turban bandits screamed in agony as they were sent flying backwards, falling into the vast yellow sand. Deep bloody wounds were left on their cheeks and chests, from which blood kept flowing. Chapter 385. This girl is quite powerful. Brothers, let's attack her together. Seeing that 2 of their companions were sent flying by the whip and were seriously injured, the other yellow scarf bandits were furious. Clang! With a flash of silver light, a yellow turban thief at LV1 Martial Manor realm held a broadsword and instantly repelled Tai Xian's whip shadows. Kill! The other Martial Master yellow scarf bandits also rushed forward. Although Tai Xian's Yuan power cultivation was not weak, having reached the level 1 Martial Master realm, facing the siege of several warriors of the same level, his strength was not enough for a moment. Soon, he was forced into a corner. At this moment, his face was pale and his aura was weak. Sister. On the other side, Tai Lei, who was entangled with the bearded man, saw that Tai Xian was in a tight encirclement and was gradually at a disadvantage. His parents died when he was young, and he had always relied on his sister, Tai Xian. Tai Xian was not only the apple of his eye, but also his only family. Even if he had to give up his life, he could not let anything happen to her. Boom! The silver horn spear in his hand pierced through the air and repelled the bearded man's attack. The next moment, Tai Lei flew toward Tai Xian. Where do you think you're going? However, before Tai Lei could get close, the bearded man attacked again and blocked him. At this moment, a trace of ridicule appeared on his face. He sneered and said, "Boy, your opponent is me. Go away." Faced with the bearded man's obstruction, Tai Lei was furious. At the same time, the silver horn spear in his hand swept out again and aimed at the bearded man's abdomen. Although Tai Xian's cultivation was only LV1 Martial Master, facing the siege of more than a dozen yellow scarf bandits, she was no match for them. Therefore, Tai Lei was burning with anxiety at this moment. However, the bearded man in front of him was a LV4 Martial Master and was not easy to deal with. Yellow Wind Technique. His figure flashed and easily dodged Tai Lei's powerful attack. The next moment, the bearded man's hands formed a dense seal and shouted at the same time. Huff, huff, huff! As soon as the seal was formed, a yellow wind rose. Waves suddenly rose from the originally calm desert. Strong winds blew in all directions, and dust and sand were kicked up. In an instant, an incomparably huge sandstorm tornado was formed. Then, it directly attacked Tai Lei, who was not far away. The yellow wind technique was the bearded man's strongest martial art. At the same time, it was also the unique skill that made him famous among the Katter Desert Bandits. Its power was comparable to a 5th-grade martial art. Tai Lei was only a level 2 martial master. Even if he was from a desert tribe and had a physique that far surpassed that of an ordinary warrior, he was still no match for Tai Lei. Not good. The sandstorm tornado arrived in an instant. At this moment, Tai Lei's expression also changed greatly, and a trace of shock surged up. Phew! Rumble. Due to the huge gap in their cultivation levels, Tai Lei couldn't dodge his opponent's strongest attack. His entire body was instantly swallowed by the incomparably huge sandstorm tornado. After that, his figure disappeared, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Brother, not far away, seeing this scene, Tai Xian, who was already at her limit, also had a face full of grief and indignation. She let out an unwilling roar. Little girl, this time you're the only one left. Previously, you killed many of our brothers. Humph. I'll let you taste my power in a while. Seeing that Tai Lei was no match for the bearded man, a level 1 martial master also sneered. The lust in his eyes was even more intense. It was as if Tai Xian was already in his bag, and she couldn't escape even if she had wings. Little girl, I'll love you well. After forcing Tai Xian back with one blow, a yellow turban bandit also slowly walked towards her with a sinister smile. At the same time, he stretched out his perverted pig hand. Beast, don't come over. Looking at the approaching yellow turban bandit, Tai Xian's pretty face was also flustered. At the same time, a deep sense of despair surged in her eyes. Now that there was not much elemental energy left in her body, and she was also injured. Facing the approaching yellow turban bandit, she was simply unable to resist. Whoosh! However, just as the yellow turban bandit's palm was about to touch Tai Xian's chest, a giant green halberd pierced through the air. It was like a falling comet, and its momentum was like a rainbow. Poochie! Without any time to react, the yellow turban bandit's body was pierced through by the giant green halberd. Suddenly, a burst of blood spurted out. Bang! Hot blood dripped onto the yellow sand under his feet. The yellow turban bandit didn't even have time to scream before he died on the spot, turning into a cold corpse. One breath, instant kill. Although the yellow turban bandit's elemental energy cultivation was at level 1 martial master realm, he was still instantly killed. Who are you? Who is it? The sudden change, not only the bearded man, but the surrounding yellow turban bandits' faces also changed slightly. In the next moment, they all looked in the direction of the giant green halberd. They saw a gray-robed figure standing there. The gray-robed figure had a delicate face and was quite young. His clear eyes were very calm, without any emotional fluctuations, as if the previous attack was just a casual attack. So it's not a caravan. Fei Ren's gaze swept across the group of yellow turban bandits, and then slowly fell on the bearded man in the lead. He pondered, level 4 martial master realm? Bandits. Wearing a yellow turban, it seems that this group of people is known as the strongest bandits in the Qatar desert, the yellow turban bandits. It's your bad luck to have met me. Retracting his gaze, Fei Ren grinned. Originally, he didn't intend to intervene, but after discovering that the Tai Lei siblings were not ordinary martial artists, but tribesmen living in the Qatar desert, Fei Ren changed his mind. If he could help the Tai siblings in front of him resolve the crisis, he might be able to get the information he wanted. After all, in addition to searching for the Sandworm King and completing the sect's 5-star mission, Fei Ren had another plan. That was to explore the secrets of the Desert Dynasty from 10,000 years ago. According to the records on the broken ancient tablet in his hand, 10,000 years ago, the Qatar desert under his feet was the territory of the Desert Dynasty. Although the Desert Dynasty had become the dust of history, there were still many treasures and legends left behind. As for these treasures and legends, basically only the tribesmen of the Qatar desert knew about them. It was difficult for the martial artists of the outside world to reach them. Other than that, Fei Ren also heard another rumor about the Desert Dynasty from Feng Yan. According to the few records on the broken stone tablet and Feng Yan's words, when the Desert Dynasty was destroyed, there were once 5 major tribes who inherited its rich heritage and treasures. However, as time passed, the rumors about the 5 major tribes became fewer and fewer. As for whether the 5 major tribes really inherited the heritage and treasures of the Desert Dynasty from 10,000 years ago, no one dared to be sure. However, the martial artists of the outside world had never given up on exploring the treasures of the Desert Dynasty, and there were still many who coveted them. Therefore, the tribesmen of the Qatar desert had always had a tense relationship with the martial artists of the outside world, and even hostile to each other. After all, these were the things of their ancestors, and they would not allow others to touch them. Chapter 386. Brat, who are you? Looking at Fei Ren, who had suddenly appeared in front of him, the bearded man narrowed his eyes and tightened his grip on the weapon in his hand. Although the Yuan power fluctuation on his opponent's body was only at LV2 Martial Master Realm, his aura was not weak at all. He was not weaker than an LV4 Martial Master Realm expert. In addition, Fei Run had killed an LV1 Martial Master Realm Yellow Scarf Bandit in seconds. His strength was not weaker than any LV3 Martial Master Realm expert. Moreover, the Tai siblings who had been besieged were both martial masters. Now that Fei Run had appeared, the bearded man did not dare to be careless. "It doesn't matter who I am." Fei Run looked at the bearded man not far away and grinned. He said, "You only need to know that the Yellow Scarf Bandits, the most powerful group of Yellow Scarf Bandits in the Qatar Desert, will completely disappear from today onwards." What a big tone. Before he finished speaking, the bearded man was furious and his face turned green. His opponent was only at LV2 Martial Master Realm, while he was a LV4 Martial Master Realm expert. At this moment, facing Fei Ren's contempt, he naturally could not remain calm. "Guys, go!" the bearded man shouted angrily. In the next moment, his body flashed, and he immediately rushed toward Fei Run. "Brat, no matter who you are, if you dare to stop me today, you will die." A trace of viciousness flashed in his eyes. A dark yellow yuan power gushed out of the bearded man's palm, and then he slapped heavily toward Fei Ren's left shoulder. "Kill! Avenge our brothers!" Just as the bearded man attacked, the surviving Yellow Scarf Bandits around him shouted and waved their weapons toward Fei Run. Swoosh! Rumble! In an instant, countless origin energy attacks of all shapes and sizes descended towards Fei Ren's location like a heavenly maiden scattering flowers, creating a huge commotion. Child's play. In the face of countless attacks, a crimson golden light appeared on the surface of Fei Ren's body. Then, the light grew brighter and turned into a thick layer of armor. At the same time, his aura soared several times. Even his body grew taller by dozens of feet. He was like Bodhidharma. Noticing the change in Fei Ren's body, the bearded man couldn't help but widen his eyes. Not only had the other party's aura increased by several times, it had also far surpassed his. It was comparable to a LV6 Martial Master. Die! Fei Ren's fist blasted out in the air. The golden fist energy swept out like a golden dragon, sweeping across the entire place. Everywhere it passed, blood splattered. Suddenly, miserable screams rang out. A large number of Yellow Turban Bandits also fell down and died in an instant. Tough one. Facing the threat of death, a trace of fear emerged in the bearded man's heart. In the beginning, he had underestimated Fei Ren's strength. Although Fei Ren's cultivation was only at the second level of the Martial Master Realm, he could still kill him. Run! Narrowing his eyes, the bearded man threw the weapon in his hand directly at Fei Run. The next moment, he retreated, trying to buy time. However, before he could escape, Fei Ren's attack came. Dharma Fist. A low roar like that of the Grim Reaper burst out. In the next moment, Fei Ren's heavy fist also smashed heavily on the bearded man's chest. A large amount of golden fist energy burst out and instantly pierced through his chest. Red and white things sputtered everywhere. Poochie. Suffering a fatal blow, the bearded man spat out a mouthful of pus and blood. His eyes were full of fear as he looked at Fei Ren. "You!" At this moment, the bearded man would never have thought that he, an LV4 Martial Master Realm expert, the famous leader of the Yellow Turban Bandits in the Qatar Desert, would die in the hands of a nameless young man like Fei Ren. Poochie. Before he could finish his words, the bearded man's eyes were completely unfocused. Then, he staggered and fell to the ground. He was completely dead. The chest was where the heart meridian of the human body was located. It was more important than the dantian of a warrior. Once it was pierced, even the gods would not be able to save it. What's more, Fei Ren's powerful punch not only pierced through the bearded man's heart meridian, but also destroyed all the vitality in his body. Even if he had a grade 9 spirit pill in his hand, there was nothing he could do. Boss is dead. After the bearded man died, The surviving yellow turban bandits were also horrified. They looked at Fei Run as if they had seen a ghost. You guys go down and accompany him. This group of yellow turban bandits was notorious in the Qatar desert. With the idea of eliminating the root of the problem, Fei Run naturally would not let these people go. Swish! His figure flashed again. Fei Ren's whole body turned into a golden flash and directly hit the remaining yellow turban bandits. Boom! Wherever the golden light went, there was a burst of screams. In just a few breaths of time, the group of yellow turban bandits in front of him were all annihilated. This person, what a powerful strength! Not far away, seeing Fei Ren kill the bearded man with one punch and rush into the crowd of yellow turban bandits, Tai Exin, who was in a weak state, was stunned. Her originally pale face was filled with shock. At this time, a dark head also emerged from the yellow sand and spat out a few mouthfuls of sand. His face was also pale and bloodless. It was Tai Lei, who had been buried by the sandstorm tornado earlier. Brother, Tai Xian's eyes lit up when she saw that Tai Lei was safe and sound. She immediately flew towards him. Brother, it's great that you're fine. Well, you scare me to death. Arriving beside Tai Lei, Tai Xian used all her strength to dig him out of the yellow sand. She rubbed her tearful eyes as if she was pouring out all the grievances in her heart. After all, she did not know whether Tai Lei was alive or not, and she was almost killed by the yellow turban bandits. If it weren't for Fei Ren's timely intervention, the two of them probably wouldn't have been able to escape. Sister, I'm fine. Sorry for making you worry. Looking at the tearful Tai Xian in front of him, Tai Lei, who had escaped death, grinned. He then reached out and patted her head. His eyes were full of love. Originally, he also thought that he was going to die. However, at the last critical moment, his body was suddenly enveloped by a crimson golden light. At the same time, it blocked most of the bearded man's attacks. Although he was previously buried in the yellow sand, he only suffered a slight injury. Sister, where's our benefactor? Looking at Tai Xian, Tai Lei asked again. The reason why he was able to escape death was obviously not because of Tai Xian, but because of someone else. Brother, he saved us. Faced with Tai Lei's question, Tai Xian wiped the corner of her eyes. Then, she pointed at Fei Run, who was not far away, with a blushing face. She also saw how the other party displayed his invincible power. For these tribal women who were isolated from the world, they were born to worship the strong. After the previous fierce battle, although Tai Xian did not know the other party, her impression of Fei Run had greatly increased. Chapter 387. Are you guys okay? Just as Tai Lei and his sister looked over, Fei Run, who was not far away, had also finished cleaning up the battlefield and flew over. Although there were not many of these yellow turban bandits, most of them were above level 8-star realm. Other than the bearded man, who was a level 4 martial master, there were a small number of level 1 or level 2 martial masters. They could be considered as a group of bandits with decent strength. Therefore, Fei Ren naturally would not let them go. He had secretly used the devouring power of the refining Immortal Cauldron to absorb all the life essence left behind on the corpses. Currently, his Yuan power cultivation was at level 2 martial master. After absorbing the life essence of the yellow turban bandits' corpses, the Yuan power in his Dantian had increased by nearly 30%. He was one step closer to the next breakthrough. Although the Yuan power in his Dantian had only increased by 30%, it was already extremely rare. After all, the capacity of his Dantian was several times that of an ordinary warrior. In addition, the spirit rings left behind by the yellow turban bandits had all been taken by Fei Run. He had made a small fortune. It's nothing serious. Thank you for your help. Tai Lei nodded in response to Fei Ren's inquiry. He then cupped his fists and said, I'm Tai Lei from the Thunder Snake tribe 300 miles away. This is my sister, Tai Xian. May I know your name? Although Tai Lei did not have much contact with outside warriors, he also knew that Fei Run was not an ordinary warrior. Not only was he young, but he was also quite powerful. Even the leader of the Yellow Turban Bandits, who was at level 4 Martial Master, was no match for him. He was obviously a top genius. Just call me Fei Run. You're saying that you're from the Thundersnake tribe? Nodding slightly, Fei Run opened his mouth again. According to the markings on the map in his hand, there was indeed a small tribe 300 miles away with a population of about 500,000. If there was no accident, this small tribe with a population of 500,000 should be the Thundersnake tribe that Tai Lei mentioned. Yes, we're all members of the Thundersnake tribe's hunter group. This time, my sister and I went out to hunt demonic beasts for the tribe to get some food and demonic beast skins back. But I didn't expect to run into this group of Yellow Turban Bandits and their leader not long after I left the tribe. Tai Lei sighed, as if he still had a lingering fear from the previous fierce battle. His face was filled with lingering fear. After all, the Thundersnake tribe was only a small tribe with a population of 500,000. Compared to the other large tribes in the Katar Desert, it was insignificant. Furthermore, there were very few warriors in the tribe. Most of them were below the High Star realm and unarmed, ordinary people. If the siblings were to die in the hands of the Yellow Turban Bandits, it would be a huge blow to the Lightning Snake tribe. After all, Tai Lei and his sister, Tai Xen, who were in the Martial Master realm, were already considered as the top fighting force in the Lightning Snake tribe's hunter group. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been sent out by the tribe to hunt demonic beasts and collect important resources such as food, demonic beast cores, and beast hides. Fei Run, my name is Tai Xen. Thank you for saving me and my brother. At this moment, Tai Xen took a step forward and laughed heartily. Then, she extended her hand toward Fei Run. Tai Xen's ample bosom, coupled with the short skirt made of animal skin, gave off a fiery and exotic aura. This kind of forthrightness was something that a woman from the outside world had never had before. This caused Fei Run to involuntarily feel his mouth turn dry and his expression turn awkward. Cough, cough, it's a small matter. I just did it in passing. With a dry cough, Fei Run also shook Tai Xen's hand out of courtesy. Then, he slowly withdrew his hand. His face returned to normal. In fact, the reason why he saved them this time was not only to find clues about the Sandworm King, but also to find out about the treasure of the Desert Dynasty from 10,000 years ago from Tai Lei and his sister. He didn't have any chivalry in his heart. Benefactor, we can't repay you for saving our lives this time. If you don't mind, please return to the Thundersnake tribe with us. At that time, the Great Elder and the rest will definitely reward you greatly. Tai Lei seemed to have seen Fei Run's strength, and that he was worth roping in. He sent out an invitation again with a sincere tone. Tai Lei and his sister, Tai Xen, had lived in the Katar Desert for generations. Although they were quite different from the warriors of the outside world in many aspects, there was one thing that remained unchanged since ancient times. That was, they worshipped and revered the strong. Not only was Fei Run powerful, but he was also young and talented. If they could rope him into the Thunder Snake tribe and even have children with the women of the Thunder Snake tribe, it would undoubtedly be a great thing for the Thunder Snake tribe. I'm a warrior of the outside world. If I go to your tribe, I'm afraid I won't be very welcome, right? Faced with Tai Lei's invitation, Fei Run reached out to touch his nose and laughed dryly. He had heard about the conflicts between the tribal natives of the Katar Desert and the warriors of the outside world. Benefactor, the prejudice in people's hearts is difficult to eliminate. Even if some tribes are hostile to the warriors of the outside world, small tribes like us are usually willing to make deals with the warriors of the outside world. It's not as exaggerated as the rumors say. Perhaps he saw through Fei Run's thoughts. Tai Lei grinned and explained. That's right, that's right. Fei Run, don't worry. Although our Thunder Snake tribe is only a small tribe, we are still very affectionate. Moreover, there are many beauties in our tribe. A trace of slyness appeared on her pretty face. At this moment, Tai Xen reached out her hand and hugged Fei Run's arm. Her voluptuous breasts were pressed tightly against Fei Run's arm as she teased. As she had been relying on her brother for many years, she had not had much contact with the opposite sex. Now that she had met Fei Run, Tai Xian's curiosity was completely ignited. After all, the other party was not only handsome, but also very powerful. He was simply a killer of young girls in love. All right, cough cough, Miss Tai Xian, it's about time to let go. As his voice fell, Fei Rin immediately nodded and shook his arm. At the same time, he helplessly glanced at Tai Xian. To be honest, he had never seen such a passionate girl like Tai Xian in front of him in all these years. The two of them had not known each other for long, but they were already sticking to him like sticky candy. Perhaps this was also related to the tribal customs of the Qatar desert. Sister, stop messing around. Benefactor will be angry later. Tai Lei also glared at Tai Xian and scolded. Although he had spoiled her since she was young, in the face of Fei Run, his savior, Tai Lei also understood that he could not be too presumptuous in order to avoid being disliked by the other party. I know, I was just joking. In the face of Tai Lei's reprimand, Tai Xian also stuck out her tongue. Then, she let go of Fei Rin's arm and obediently retreated to the side. It was obvious that she was very obedient to her big brother's words. Chapter 388. Benefactor, let's go. After returning to Tai Xian's side, Tai Lei leaped and flew towards one of the directions in the desert. Hopefully, there will be some clues, Fei Run said in his heart as he activated his Yuan power wings and followed closely behind. The distance of 300 miles was not too far. In less than an hour, Fei Rin followed Tai Lei and Tai Xian to a large oasis. The oasis was spacious and filled with people. Houses and villages could be seen from afar. Yellow sand filled the sky near the oasis as if a green leaf was in the duckweed. It looked like an exotic desert. It seemed to be the Thunder Snake tribe that the two mentioned. So this is the Thunder Snake tribe, Fei Run said in his heart as he looked around. Although the oasis in front of him was large, it was not vast and could not support a population of more than 1 million people. This was also the reason why the population of the Thunder Snake tribe was kept at around 500,000. After all, water and food were scarce in the dry desert. Moreover, there were many magical beasts and bandits in the Qatar desert. In addition to the necessary labor and population, a tribe also needed to cultivate some strong warriors to protect the safety of the tribe. For example, Tai Lei and Tai Xian were members of the Thunder Snake tribe's hunter group. In addition, compared to ordinary tribesmen, these warriors needed more resources and food. We're finally home. Before they got close to the entrance of the tribe, Tai Xian stretched her waist and laughed heartily. She seemed to be in a good mood as she finally returned to the tribe that she missed so much. Benefactor, we were attacked by the yellow turban bandits this time and did not gain much. I have to report to the elders. At this moment, Tai Lei retracted his gaze and looked at Fei Run at the side as he cupped his hands and said, Originally, the brother and sister planned to go out to hunt magical beasts. However, they were attacked by the yellow turban bandits and almost lost their lives. As for the magical beasts, they did not kill many so naturally. They had to report to the elders of the tribe. No worries. Fei Run immediately nodded and said, Let's go. Tai Lei was one of the few martial master experts in the Thunder Snake tribe's hunter group. Naturally, he had a lot of work to do, and it was impossible for him to accompany Fei Run all the way. Coincidentally, Fei Run did not like to be high profile. Little sister, help me take care of my benefactor. I'll go find the great elder and the others first. Seeing that the other party did not mind, Tai Lei also turned his head to look at Tai Xian by the side. At the same time, he solemnly instructed. In the next moment, he flew towards a temple deep within the tribe. That place was the core of the Thunder Snake tribe. It enshrined the totem of their tribe and the memorial tablets of their ancestors. Usually, it was guarded by the most respected and experienced elders in the tribe. As a martial master expert nurtured by the Thunder Serpent tribe and a member of the hunter group, Tai Lei was extremely loyal to the Thunder Serpent tribe. He was also extremely loyal to the tribe chiefs. After all, his parents had died when he was young. other than his sister, Tai Xan. Protecting the safety of the Thunder Snake tribe was another spiritual sustenance for Tai Lei. Let's go. I'll bring you to my house first. I'll let you have a taste of my cooking skills. Humph, humph. Looking at the back of Tai Lei leaving, Tai Xan also turned her beautiful eyes and smiled at Fei Run with a sly look on her face. Is this girl going to give me some demonic cuisine? His face was stunned. Although Fei Run had a lot of guesses in his heart, he still followed. After all, with his current physique, even poison would not be able to hurt him. Just some unpalatable food was nothing to him. In the Thunder Serpent tribe, it was a peaceful scene, other than some women and strong men walking on the streets. There was also the sound of children laughing and playing occasionally. Cough, cough, cough. After following Tai Xan for a short distance, he saw a young man wearing animal skin clothes walking towards them. The young man's face was rosy, but the aura on his body was a little weak. At the same time, he kept coughing and his footsteps were a little staggered, like an old man who was drunk. This person, squinting his eyes, Fei Rin subconsciously stopped in his tracks. At the same time, the corner of his eyes fell on the young man as he pondered. The other party was just an ordinary tribesman. He was very clear that there was no fluctuation of yuan power on his body. However, the condition of the young man's body was a little strange, causing Fei Rin to be puzzled. His face is rosy, which means that he is full of qi and blood. Moreover, this person is in his prime and does not have any serious illness. He must be full of energy, but why is his aura so weak that he can't even walk steadily? Thinking in his heart, Fei Rin's delicate face was also puzzled. Fei Rin, what happened to you? Seeing that Fei Rin suddenly stopped, Tai Xan, who was in front, also turned her head and asked, Miss Tai Xan, that person seems a little strange. Facing Tai Xan's question, Fei Rin did not keep her in suspense. He glanced at the young man from the corner of his eyes and said, the other party was a tribesman born and raised in the Thunder Snake tribe. Perhaps he would know some secrets. You mean Big Brother Fong? Seeing that Fei Rin's gaze was fixed on the young man, Tai Xan sighed. Then, she helplessly smiled and said, Sai, Big Brother Fong used to be a normal person. Ever since he fell sick, he became like that. Although he swallowed the medicine refined by the tribe elders, his condition did not improve. He is still in a half-good and half-bad state. Tai Xan explained unhurriedly. Sick? Hearing this, Fei Rin was a little surprised. Logically speaking, these ordinary people's illnesses were usually cured by the ancient martial art practitioners. It was not a big deal at all. However, the young man's condition did not improve at all. Even the elders of the Thunder Snake tribe could not do anything about it. It was really strange. I'm afraid this person doesn't have an ordinary illness, right? Thinking of this, Fei Rin opened his mouth again. Not knowing why, he felt that there was something fishy. Perhaps this young man's condition was not that simple. Nodding her head, Tai Xan opened her mouth again and sighed. Half a month ago, Big Brother Fong was bitten by a black poison rat outside the tribe. Although he was lucky enough to keep his life, his body was poisoned by the black poison rat. Since then, he has been sick. He often coughs nonstop and can't walk steadily. Moreover, this poison is consuming Big Brother Fong's essence every day. Even the tribe elders found it difficult to remove it. Although she was a little careless, Tai Xan also had a woman's gentleness. Looking at the young man not far away, her eyes revealed a trace of pity. Chapter 389. Devour Vital Essence? Upon hearing this, Fei Rin's expression turned sluggish, as though he was surprised. Although the poison in the body of the black poison rat is not weak, it is not fatal. Moreover, it will not devour vital essence. This person was probably bitten by something else. Shaking his head, Fei Rin denied. This young man's illness was very strange. The black poison rat was only a small yellow-rank magical beast and would not devour vital essence. Although he did not know why the other party was infected, it definitely had nothing to do with the black poison rat. Something else? Tai Xan's mouth was slightly agape. Faced with Fei Rin's judgment, Taixian's face was filled with astonishment. After all, she had lived in the Thunder Snake tribe for many years and had always believed in the diagnosis of the tribe elders. In the Thunder Snake tribe, the elders were the symbol of authority. Usually, only the elders had the right to worship the totem and the tribe god. The Thunder Snake tribe was only a small tribe with a population of over 500,000 and could not be compared to the large tribes in the Katter Desert. Therefore, there were very few people who were proficient in medical skills and alchemy. Only a few elders in the Lightning Snake tribe had dabbled in it. Under normal circumstances, if the people in the tribe were to fall ill, the elders would be the ones to treat them. That's right. Nodding his head, Fei Run continued. That young man did not cultivate any yuan power and is only an ordinary person. Although the black poison rat is weak and is only a small yellow rank magical beast, it is enough to deal with ordinary people. If he was really bitten by the black poison rat, I'm afraid that he would have died on the spot instead of losing his vital essence. Fei Run was very clear that only magical beasts of spiritual rank and above had the ability to devour vital essence. The vital essence of a human body was the source of life. Once too much vital essence was lost, the host would feel extremely tired and would even age rapidly, as though their vitality was being sucked away. The Thunder Snake tribe was only a small tribe with a population of 500,000. If there was a magical beast of spiritual rank and above around them, the people in the tribe would not be so comfortable. There was a high chance that they would become food in the stomach of the magical beast. As for why the young man was able to escape from the clutches of a spiritual rank magical beast, Fei Run had some doubts in his heart. Something is fishy. This tribe might have been targeted. Taking a deep breath, Fei Run looked towards the direction of the temple in the depths of the tribe. He secretly sighed in his heart. Initially, he came to the Thunder Snake tribe to find out more about the Sandworm King and the treasure of the Desert Dynasty 10,000 years ago. However, since he had encountered such a strange incident, he naturally wanted to find out more about it. Fei Run, what do you think we should do? Can Big Brother Fong's illness be cured? At this moment, Tai Xan pursed her lips and asked with a perturbed expression. Even the elders of their tribe couldn't see anything wrong with the young man's illness, but Fei Run was able to point it out with a single stab to the heart. Although she still had some doubts, after witnessing Fei Run's strength, Tai Xan's trust in Fei Run deepened. Of course. Glancing at Tai Xan, Fei Run grinned and smiled faintly. Strictly speaking, this isn't an illness at all. As long as we can find the cause of the loss of spiritual essence in that person's body, everything can be solved. However, I need his cooperation. At this point, Fei Run deliberately paused. He was just an outsider at the moment. Although it was kind of him to diagnose the people of the Thunder Snake tribe, people's hearts were unpredictable and the other party might not think the same way. Other than the Tai Lei siblings, the other people of the Thunder Snake tribe, including the elders who guarded the temple, might not have a good impression of him. That's simple. Big Brother Fong lives next door. If he can cure his illness, he will be very grateful. Nodding her head, Tai Xan heaved a sigh of relief. Then, her face revealed a trace of helplessness. Speaking of which, there have been more and more people in the tribe who have been infected recently, and their symptoms are the same as Big Brother Fong's. Although the elders in the tribe said that they were bitten by the black poison rats, my brother and I have patrolled within 100 miles of the tribe, and we didn't find any traces of the black poison rats. Fei Run, everything depends on you. Looking at Fei Run solemnly, Tai Xan's tone revealed a rare solemnity. I will find the cause. Nodding his head slightly, Fei Run didn't say much. After following Tai Xan to her residence, Fei Run didn't rush to find the source of the illness. Instead, he went into seclusion. In a quiet room in the Thunder Snake tribe, Fei Run was sitting cross-legged on the bed. A small ancient cauldron appeared his right palm. The cauldron was dark and covered with ancient strange inscriptions. At this moment, the originally dull inscriptions lit up with a trace of golden lines that occupied almost a quarter of the cauldron's body. The divine refining cauldron has finally recovered a part of its power. Looking at the strange changes in the divine cauldron in his palm, Fei Ren's eyes suddenly lit up, and he was slightly happy. It had been several years since he stepped into the martial path and fused the divine refining cauldron with his dantian. After these few years of cultivation, along with the continuous increase in his strength, he finally recovered a part of the divine refining cauldron's power and successfully awakened a part of the inscriptions on the cauldron's body. Although this part of the inscriptions that shone with golden lines only occupied a quarter of the entire cauldron's body, it had greatly increased the power of the divine refining cauldron. In the past, I could only devour the remaining life essence and medicinal herbs from the dead. Now that the divine refining cauldron's devouring power has increased again, I can even devour and refine some spiritual treasures, weapons, and even living creatures. Controlling the divine refining cauldron in his palm, Fei Ren's face was filled with excitement. At this moment, strands of mysterious aura were emitted from the divine cauldron. Together with the flashing inscriptions on the cauldron, it was extremely strange. Let's give it a try. Just as this thought popped up in his mind, Fei Ren immediately took action. Swoosh! The spirit ring on his finger flashed with a white light, and then he took out a large number of spiritual treasures, weapons, medicinal herbs, and primordial stones. These various spoils of war were all plundered by Fei Ren from the group of Yellow Turban Bandits. As the most powerful group of bandits in the Katter Desert, this group of Yellow Turban Bandits had quite a lot of wealth. Just the low-grade primordial stones and medicinal herbs above the third grade had already been plundered by Fei Ren, filling up an intermediate spirit ring. As for the bearded man who had died in his hands, he had a 5th-grade spiritual treasure and a 5th-grade martial art called the Yellow Wind Technique. He could be considered quite wealthy. Devour. Fei Ren picked up a 4th-grade spiritual treasure and threw it into the divine refining cauldron without hesitation. Then, he began to use the power of the divine cauldron to devour and refine it. Chapter 390. Buzz Buzz. As the 4th-grade spirit treasure entered the immortal refining divine cauldron, a slight tremor came from the inside of the divine cauldron. Immediately, the golden light on the cauldron shone brightly, and the strange inscriptions that were originally dark flickered continuously, like an awakened dragon. Boom! A muffled thunder shook the air, and a majestic energy of heaven and earth gushed out from the mouth of the immortal refining divine cauldron. This energy of heaven and earth was not only visible to the naked eye, but it was also as white as floating clouds. It was like a pure energy body without any impurities, and anyone could absorb it. Even the 4th-grade spirit treasure has been refined. The power of the immortal refining divine cauldron has indeed recovered a portion of its power. Looking at the pure, white energy of heaven and earth in front of him, Fei Ren was overjoyed. Although the energy of heaven and earth that was devoured and refined by the immortal refining divine cauldron was not origin power, all things did not leave their origin. Origin power was also transformed from the energy of heaven and earth. Therefore, if he absorbed the energy of heaven and earth in front of him, it would greatly increase his origin power cultivation, and his strength would skyrocket. Refine. Without any hesitation, Fei Ren immediately swallowed the energy of heaven and earth into his stomach. At the same time, he activated the Dharma 1000 conversion technique and began to cultivate. After a few breaths, the energy of heaven and earth was completely refined. The total amount of origin power in Fei Ren's dantian had also increased by a lot. He was only halfway to the next step of breaking through to the 3rd level of the martial master realm. I've only refined a 4th-grade spirit treasure, but my origin power cultivation has increased by more than a few times. When I devour a few more high-grade spirit treasures, even breaking through to the martial spirit realm is just around the corner. Feeling the origin power in his body gradually overflowing, Fei Ren sighed. The immortal refining divine cauldron was indeed the only immortal treasure in the universe. This divine cauldron had only recovered a portion of its power, and it was already so shocking. Moreover, with Fei Ren's current strength, he had not completely grasped the power of the immortal refining divine cauldron. Just like the strange inscriptions on the cauldron, he had only awakened a portion of it, less than a quarter. Continue. After tasting the sweetness, Fei Ren naturally would not give up halfway. He immediately took out a few more spirit treasures and medicinal herbs and threw them into the immortal refining divine cauldron. At the same time, he began refining. Unknowingly, 2 hours had passed. Just a little bit more. Fei Ren exhaled a mouthful of turbid air as he stood up. At this moment, the Yuan power aura on his body had also reached a critical point. It was infinitely close to the 3rd level of the martial master realm. It seemed that he was only a step away from breaking through. After refining and absorbing a large amount of spiritual treasures, medicinal herbs, and primordial stones, his cultivation of origin power had increased by quite a bit. However, he had yet to break through to LV3 martial master realm and was only on the verge of breaking through. After all, the capacity of Fei Ren's Dantian was different from ordinary martial artists. It was several times larger than ordinary martial artists. Therefore, every breakthrough was extremely difficult and required a large amount of essence energy to support it. Although he didn't manage to break through to the 3rd level of the martial master realm, Fei Ren wasn't greedy. He was very clear about this principle. Moreover, the spoils of war and vitality stones that he had plundered from his spirit ring had all been used up. It would be difficult for him to get more spirit treasures, herbs, and vitality stones in a short time. Fei Ren, my brother is back. At this moment, Tai Xian pushed open the door and entered. This guy is really a monster. He's still cultivating. Looking at Fei Ren, who was sweating profusely and exuberant, Tai Xian immediately understood that he had been in seclusion. Her pretty face was filled with surprise. Okay. Nodding his head, Fei Ren immediately got up and left the house. Previously, Tai Lei wasn't present, so he had some doubts in his heart that he couldn't answer. Benefactor, you're looking for me? Outside the courtyard, Tai Lei's face was covered in dust. It seemed that he had just returned. Are there people in your tribe who are sick? Fei Ren said unhurriedly. Benefactor, how did you know? Hearing this, Tai Lei was stunned. Then, he turned his head to look at Tai Xian and immediately understood something. He smiled bitterly and said, Yes, I heard from the elders of the tribe that these people seem to have been bitten by black poison rats. This kind of poison seeped into the 8 extraordinary meridians of a human body, causing the loss of spiritual essence and even aging. I don't think it's because of the black poison rats that the people in your tribe are infected. There must be another reason. Shaking his head, Fei Ren said, resolutely with a trace of sharpness in his eyes. Benefactor, why do you say that? Tai Lei's expression was solemn. Although he had some doubts in the beginning, that was the diagnosis of the elders of the tribe. As a junior, he had little experience and was not qualified to judge. Tai Lei, have you heard of the purple gold toad? Without speaking directly, Fei Ren kept him in suspense and asked, Purple gold toad? As his voice fell, Tai Lei's face was solemn. As one of the few level 2 martial master experts in the Thunder Snake tribe, he naturally had a good understanding of the demonic beasts in the outside world. The purple gold toad was a middle spiritual rank demonic beast. Although this demonic beast size was not big, its body contained a strange toad poison. Once the toad poison entered the body, it would devour spiritual essence. Ordinary elixirs could not remove it. Furthermore, other than the toad poison, the strength of the purple gold toad could not be underestimated. With a trace of the heavenly toad's bloodline, its overall strength was comparable to a level 6 martial master expert. That's right, this toad poison is extremely strange. Although it will not cause fatal damage to the human body, it will gradually devour the spiritual essence of the human body. Once too much spiritual essence is lost, the human will lose his life and will die. Fei Ren slowly said with a deep tone, Our Thunder Snake tribe is only a small tribe. I have never heard of a middle spiritual rank purple gold toad appearing in the vicinity. If this demonic beast really lived near the tribe, those villagers would not have been poisoned. Instead, they would have died on the spot. With his eyebrows slightly furrowed, Tai Lei said in a deep voice. It was not that he did not believe Fei Run, but this matter was too shocking. After all, a middle spiritual rank demonic beast strength was enough to destroy the Thunder Snake tribe, a small tribe with a population of only 500,000. Tai Lei, if my guess is correct, this middle spiritual rank purple gold toad should be a demonic pet raised by someone. Furthermore, the person behind the scenes is also the one who spread the poison everywhere in your tribe. However, I am currently unsure of the specific motive of this person. Squinting his eyes, Fei Ren said indifferently. In fact, he had already sensed that something was amiss from the beginning. There was an extremely obscure and strange aura hidden in the depths of the Thundersnake tribe. Furthermore, it was in the direction of the temple that Tai Lei had gone to previously. Tai Lei had previously said that all matters in their tribe were decided by a group of elders. However, according to Fei Ren's Yuan power, other than the obscure aura hidden in the dark, there was no other aura in the direction of the temple. The person behind the scenes. Just as he finished speaking, not only Tai Lei, but Tai Xian's face also changed slightly. Instantly, it became extremely solemn, as if she had thought of something. Did something else happen in your tribe recently? Seeing the change in their expressions, Fei Run was even more certain of his guess and asked again. Benefactor, actually half a month ago, a Saint Protector came to our tribe. After hesitating for a while, Tai Lei sighed again. He seemed to be unwilling to talk about it as his eyes avoided Lin Huang's gaze. Saint Protector. Hearing this, Fei Ren's face froze, then turned solemn. If it was not out of his expectations, the things that happened in the Thunder Snake tribe were most likely related to the Saint Protector mentioned by Tai Lei. Chapter 391. Yes, that lord came from the Kshadi tribe, one of the 5 major tribes. He is a protector sent by the Holy Church. Our Thunder Snake tribe is just a small tribe. Naturally, we dare not neglect the arrival of the Holy Church's protector and have been carefully worshipping him. During this period of time, almost all of the tribe's food and tributes have been sent to the Holy Church's protector. Even the elders dare not disobey. Tai Lei nodded and said with a helpless tone. Although the Thunder Snake tribe was just a small tribe in the Katter Desert, it was not a big problem for them to be self-sufficient. The members of the hunter group did not have much pressure and only needed to hunt a few dozen demonic beasts every day. However, since the arrival of the mysterious Holy Church's protector, not only did their tribe's food demand increase greatly, but they also had to hunt hundreds of demonic beasts every day. Moreover, there was a large number of strange diseases. For a time, everyone was in a panic, and even the elders were helpless. For this reason, Tai Lei had also suggested the elders to ask the Holy Church's protector for help to solve the strange diseases in the tribe. However, in the end, nothing was done. Not only did the mysterious Holy Church's protector rarely appear, but he also stayed in the secret chamber of the temple and did not seem to care about the world. Since this person is called the Holy Church's protector and comes from one of the 5 major tribes, why did he not save the people of your tribe? Hearing this, Fei Ren was puzzled. He had heard of the reputation of the 5 major tribes in the Katter Desert. It was said that 10,000 years ago, when the desert dynasty that ruled the Katter Desert was at its peak, there were 5 extremely powerful large tribes under its command. These 5 large tribes were Polo, Kshadi, Baishi, Tawachuo, and Dali. The world called them the 5 major tribes, and the 5 major tribes had a large population. Each tribe had more than 10 million people, and their prosperity was not inferior to some of the major cities in the outside world. There were rumors in the outside world that after the Desert Dynasty collapsed and turned into the dust of history, its huge treasures and heritage were also inherited and divided by the 5 major tribes. As for whether this news was true or false, no one knew. I'm not sure. I only saw the protector once. The ones who had the closest contact with the protector were the elders of the tribe. Tai Lei shook his head again in the face of Fei Ren's inquiry. Tai Lei, don't the elders of your tribe suspect the Holy Church's protector? Fei Ren was still in hot pursuit. At this moment, he was 70% sure that the Thunder Snake tribe was not a natural disaster, but a man-made one. Benefactor, I actually have some doubts in my heart. However, that Lord Protector can make our tribe's totem manifest and communicate with the gods. Among the tribes in the Katter Desert, only the people of the 5 major tribes can do this. Tai Lei shook his head helplessly. Although he possessed the Yuan power of a level 2 martial master, he was still a member of a small hunter group in the Thunder Snake tribe. Regardless of whether it was himself or his sister, Tai Xen, their words carried little weight. Moreover, for the many tribes in the Katter Desert, respecting the tribal totem and worshipping the gods were the ancestral teachings left behind by their ancestors. They could not be violated. Even if there wasn't a saint protector, as long as one could make the totem manifest, they would gain the trust and allegiance of many tribesmen. Fei Ren, are you suspecting the Lord Protector? But Lord Protector can make our tribe's great god Thunder Snake appear. He shouldn't harm our tribe's safety. At this moment, Tai Xen finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She pursed her lips and said weakly with an uneasy tone. Although she didn't want to admit it, Fei Ren's words weren't without reason. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain the strange things that happened in the Thunder Snake tribe. As long as we find that guy, everything will come alight. As for whether my judgment is correct or not, you will know when the time comes. Nodding his head, Fei Ren's face was solemn and his tone was meaningful. The thunder serpent god mentioned by Tai Xen was an ancient demonic beast, the thunder serpent. This demonic beast had gone extinct 5,000 years ago, and its face had been turned into a totem. It was worshipped by the tribesmen all year round, and over time, it had become a religion. This religion wasn't limited to the Thunder Snake tribe under his feet. Almost every tribe in the Katter Desert had their own totem of faith. Most of them originated from ancient demonic beasts. As for the totem manifesting, it was just a small trick that could be done as long as one's mental strength reached a certain level. It wasn't a big deal at all. When Fei Ren's mental strength reached the 5th stage of the profound martial realm, he could also make the totem manifest and create a subtle change. Where is the Saint Protector now? After taking a deep breath, Fei Ren asked Tai Lei and Tai Xen. If he wasn't wrong, the other party wasn't just a cultivator with powerful mental strength. He also had a mid-spirit rank purple gold toad as his subordinate. Fei Ren didn't dare to underestimate such a powerful person and had to make more preparations. In the tribe's temple, the Saint Protector almost never leaves the temple. Other than the elders, no one has seen him. Even the members of the hunter group are the same. When I went to report the situation to the elders, I also didn't see the Saint Protector. Tai Lei scratched his head and said again. Although he didn't dare to believe it, he also wanted to know the truth behind the matter. He wanted to know if it was really as Fei Ren said. Moreover, there were more and more people in the Thunder Snake tribe who were infected and poisoned recently. It wasn't a good idea to drag on like this. It's really there. As soon as he finished speaking, Fei Ren's eyes narrowed. When he first stepped into the Lightning Snake tribe, he had sensed an obscure and strange aura entrenched in the depths of the temple. Now, it seemed that his judgment was not wrong. This tribe was indeed targeted by someone. Moreover, there was definitely a huge conspiracy behind it. Fei Ren, you want to go to the temple to see the Saint Protector? Why don't you let my brother ask the elders first? Seeing that Fei Ren was about to go to the temple, Tai Xen stepped forward with a serious expression and said with a worried tone. She and her brother Tai Lei were only members of the hunter group and didn't have the qualifications to step into the temple. This was against the teachings of the ancestors. Moreover, Fei Ren was a foreign cultivator. It was inevitable that it would cause dissatisfaction and even conflict with the elders. No need, I have my own plans. However, in the face of Tai Xen's suggestion, Fei Ren shook his head. The enemy was in the dark while he was out in the open. He wouldn't do something like alerting the enemy. Moreover, if he wasn't wrong, The elders mentioned by Tai Lei and his sister were most likely dead. They might have even been killed by the so-called protector of the Holy Church. As for the group of elders that Tai Lei saw earlier, it might just be a smokescreen by the enemy. Swoosh! Fei Run turned into a ray of light and soared into the sky in the next moment. He then flew towards the temple in the depths of the lightning snake tribe. Pretentious guy, I'd like to see who you are today. Chapter 392. At the same time, in the depths of the Thunder Snake tribe, in a gloomy temple, a few old men in long robes were kowtowing and chanting scriptures. In the middle of the hall, there were many memorial tablets and a strange-looking snake totem. It seemed that they were holding some kind of worship ceremony. Respected Thunder Snake God, please bless the Thunder Snake tribe for eternity and protect it from fortune and disaster. We, the people of the Thunder Snake tribe, hereby offer a tribute and pray for the great God to descend. A white-haired, skinny old man knelt down while trembling. At the same time, he held a crystal-clear jade green pearl in his hand. In the middle of the pearl, there were streaks of red shadows that looked like wandering spiritual snakes. It was very strange. Thunder Snake, God bless. On both sides, the rest of the old men knelt down and began to pray as well. Buzz, buzz. At this time, the luster on the jade green pearl became more obvious. In the next moment, it emitted a pure essence energy that was close to substance. At the same time, it was slowly injected into the snake totem in the middle of the hall and disappeared. If there was a martial artist present, he would be surprised to find that the jade green pearl in the hands of the white-haired, skinny old man was extraordinary. It contained rich essence energy that was far from being comparable to a mid-grade primordial stone. It was a kind of spiritual item of heaven and earth. Ha! What pure essence energy of heaven and earth. A fist-sized jade blood pearl. I didn't expect these barbarians to have such a treasure in their hands. Outside the temple, in the sky, a black-robed man stood in the air. At the same time, he was also forming hand seals. At the same time, his body was glowing with white light, as if he was absorbing and refining some kind of pure essence energy. The aura on his body was also gradually rising. After staying here for half a month, my cultivation base is close to breaking through. It's time to reel in the net. Taking a deep breath, the black-robed man's face was ferocious. At the same time, a trace of murderous intent flashed across his eyes. Hiss, hiss. At this time, a weak sound was heard. In the next moment, a jade-green shadow came out from the black-robed man's sleeve. Its eyes were glowing with blood. It was a jade-striped red snake. Moreover, its demonic aura was not weak. It had already reached the peak of the profound rank. Hungry again? But now is not the time. Looking at the jade-patterned red, refined snake that came out of his sleeve, the black-robed man narrowed his eyes and took out a black and swarthy goo weapon from his spirit ring. At the same time, he activated a spell and chanted. Hiss! As if it had heard the black-robed man's call, the emerald-striped, red, refined snake twisted its body and entered the palm-sized black goo artifact, disappearing without a trace. My little babies, just wait a little longer. I'll give you a good meal right away. Recalling the jade-patterned red, refined snake, the black-robed man waved the black goo artifact in his hand as a cold smile appeared on his face. This blue-striped red snake was one of the magic pets he kept. Although it had reached the peak of the profound rank, it was not the strongest magic pet he had. As for the black goo artifact in the black-robed man's hand, it was a spirit treasure that specialized in storing demon pets. Although it did not have any power, it had its own poison and demonic power, making it very suitable for nurturing poison-type demon pets. A few minutes later, Fei Ren also hurried to the temple. It's here. Squinting his eyes, Fei Ren looked at the eerie and ancient temple in front of him. He did not step in immediately. Strange, that obscure aura fluctuation has disappeared. Could it be that I've been discovered? Thinking in his heart, Fei Ren's face became a little serious. Now that things had come to this, Although he did not know how strong the person behind the scenes was, now that his whereabouts had been exposed, he could only force his way in. "Who's there? How dare you trespass into the temple's forbidden area?" At this moment, a dignified and aged voice rang out from within the temple. In the next moment, an old man in a long robe stepped out. At the same time, a pair of turbid eyes looked towards Fei Run, who was opposite him. The long-robed old man's body was surrounded by energy. His yuan power fluctuation had already reached level 3 martial master. However, the blood on his face was not good, as if it was covered with a layer of black shadow. Moreover, the vitality in his body was very weak, as if he was about to die. It was very strange. The vitality in this person's body is close to drying up. Indeed, these elders of the Thundersnake tribe have all suffered. Looking at the long-robed old man who suddenly appeared in front of him, Fei Ren's face turned serious. He could not detect a trace of vitality from the other party. His vitality was close to non-existent, leaving only a deathly aura. Obviously, this long-robed old man had not only been sucked dry of all his vitality and essence, he had also become a puppet. Like a walking corpse, he was controlled by the person behind the scenes. "I heard that a saint protector came to the Thundersnake tribe. Where's this person? I want to see him." Calming himself down, Fei Run said in a serious tone. Now, he could confirm that these elders of the Thundersnake tribe had all died. Even if they were lucky enough to survive, they had all become puppets. If he wanted to find the person behind the scenes, he could only kill his way through and get rid of these pawns that were blocking his way. "Presumptuous! How dare you call the protector by his name? Bastard, you're courting death." Just as he finished speaking, the long-robed old man was enraged. He immediately leaped towards Fei Run and at the same time blasted out a black palm energy condensed from yuan power. Scram! Facing the long-robed old man's attack, Fei Run only opened his mouth and roared. A majestic mental energy swept out and instantly turned into an invisible sharp blade, directly piercing into the long-robed old man's mind. The long-robed old man's mind was severely injured by the spirit blade. In the next moment, he let out a blood-curdling scream and fell to the ground while holding his head in pain. His face was distorted. Now that Fei Ren's mental energy was close to the 4th layer of the profound martial realm, and the Spirit Blade was a rare level 3 mental martial art. No matter how profound his yuan power cultivation was, he would not be able to resolve this kind of mental attack. After forcing the long-robed old man to retreat, Fei Ren's attack did not stop. His figure flickered and appeared in front of the long-robed old man. The yuan power in his left hand surged and turned into a sharp longsword. In an instant, the longsword pierced through the old man's chest, causing blood to splatter everywhere. After reaching the martial master realm, in addition to flying, one could also grasp the ability to transform yuan power. Although a spiritual treasure could greatly increase a martial artist's strength, without a spiritual treasure, a martial artist could still use yuan power to transform into a weapon that they were good at. But compared to a weapon condensed from yuan power, a spiritual treasure was much more powerful. Right now, the long-robed old man was close to a dead man. The vitality in his body was almost drained, and he was being controlled by someone else. With Fei Ren's current means, he could not save him for the time being, so he could only kill him. That guy is really a demonic martial artist. It seems that I'm not too late. Otherwise, Tai Lei and his sister would have also been killed by him. Glancing at the long-robed old man's corpse on the ground, Fei Ren frowned slightly with a dignified expression. Previously, he tried to use the divine refining cauldron to devour the remaining life essence of the long-robed old man's corpse, but there was no reaction. Obviously, the long-robed old man's vitality had long been drained. There was no life essence left, only an empty shell that was controlled by the mysterious person behind the scenes. Even if Fei Run did not kill him, the long-robed old man would not have lived for more than 3 months. Chapter 393. Now that the killing had begun, Fei Rin's plan was very clear. Since the mastermind was unwilling to show himself, he would force the other party to take action. The people of the Lightning Snake tribe, including the Tai Lei siblings, were kept in the dark. If Fei Rin did not take action now, the mastermind's plot would succeed and no one in the Lightning Snake tribe would survive. Pop! Before he even stepped into the temple, an invisible power of the array spread out, causing ripples to appear in the air. At the same time, it covered the entire temple, as if it was some kind of mysterious array, and its rank was not lower than high yellow rank. There's still a barrier? Narrowing his eyes, Fei Rin's face was cold. Based on the current situation, the mastermind seemed to have set up a trap in the Lightning Snake tribe for a long time and was afraid that outsiders would interfere. However, a mere high-grade yellow rank formation was unable to stop Fei Rin's footsteps. He wanted to see exactly who was the person hiding behind the formation. Boom! A punch blasted out, and a large amount of origin energy scattered out, instantly shattering this formless array. Fei Rin's current strength was comparable to a level 5 martial master expert and was able to contend against a level 6 martial master. A mere high yellow rank array was naturally unable to stop him unless the person who set up the array had a strong enough mental strength and could set up an even higher earth rank array. Crack, crack. Accompanied by the sound of glass shattering, the barrier energy in the air dissipated. After a few breaths, it turned into nothingness. Swoosh! With a leap, Fei Rin was like a sharp sword as he plunged into the temple. Just as he arrived at the temple, he was greeted by a strange-looking and unique large snake totem. At this moment, the large snake totem was flickering with strands of white light, emitting a dense yuan power aura, causing Fei Rin's eyes to focus. This snake totem looked no different from an ordinary totem statue. However, it was made of a special metal and could guide yuan power and energy. Right now, the large snake totem was impressively guiding an endless stream of elemental energy. At the same time, the majestic elemental energy soared into the sky, pointing directly at the sky above the temple. It was like a dense cloud, and the scene was extremely spectacular. At this moment, in the face of Fei Rin's sudden intrusion, the few elders in the temple, as well as the white-haired, skinny old man in the lead, paid no attention to him. It was as if they had ignored the existence of the other party. They were still kowtowing and chanting sutras. At the same time, they were slowly transmitting their yuan power to the big snake totem in the center. As yuan power continuously flowed in, the flickering white glow on the large snake totem grew increasingly intense. The vitality and essence of the white-haired elder's body gradually decreased, as if it was being sucked dry. At the same time, the originally glowing jade blood bead also gradually dimmed. These people are being controlled. Seeing this, Fei Rin's expression changed slightly. Including the white-haired elder, there were a total of 4 elders in the temple. These elders were all at least level 2 martial master realm. However, these elders seemed to have been possessed. They contributed all of their vitality and essence without caring about anything else. They turned it into wisps of pure yuan power and poured it into the large snake totem in the middle of the hall. With the protection of the great god Thunder Snake, the people of the tribe will be safe for all eternity. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of the white-haired elder's mouth. His eyes also became incomparably red. However, he still held the jade blood bead tightly in his palm. He did not give up on this strange worship ceremony, unaware that he had fallen into some kind of conspiracy. A bunch of idiots stopped. Clenching his fist, Fei Rin's figure shot out in the next moment. He arrived in front of a level 3 martial master realm elder. A scarlet golden light flashed in his palm as he grabbed the elder's shoulder. Where did this ignorant child come from? How dare you trespass into the temple? Perhaps it was because of Fei Rin's intervention, but at this moment, the elder had regained some of his consciousness. However, when he saw Fei Rin's unfamiliar face, he immediately became furious. Boom! Strands of yuan power gushed out from his body, forcing Fei Ren to retreat. In the next moment, the tribe elder turned around and charged towards Fei Ren. A trace of killing intent and confusion flashed through his originally cloudy eyes. It was as if he had turned into a puppet, with only endless killing intent in his eyes. Dharma Fist. Stomping heavily on the ground, Fei Ren's body slightly bent like an arrow on a bow. In the next moment, his entire body rushed out. His fist, which was mixed with a golden fist force, fiercely smashed into the elder's chest. Bang! Rumble! The powerful golden fist force instantly exploded, rolling up a wave of air. The elder did not have any strength to resist. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes widened. At the same time, his entire body fell to the ground and completely lost his breath. Killed with one punch. The elder's yuan power cultivation was the same as the long-robed elder who had died in Fei Ren's hands. Their strength was not much different. Therefore, naturally, he could not resist Fei Ren's full-strength punch. With Fei Ren's current yuan power cultivation, coupled with the Dharma Fist in the Mastery Realm, the power of a full-strength punch was enough to kill any expert below level 6 Martial Master Realm. Roar! The smell of blood and blood filled the entire temple. The white-haired skinny elder and the others who were originally kowtowing and chanting also let out a mournful growl. In the next moment, they all turned their heads and looked at Fei Ren with eyes full of killing intent. You are not worshipping the great Thunder Snake God at all. Everything is a fake conspiracy. Only by finding the person behind the scenes will your tribe be saved. Facing the killing intent that shot from all directions in the temple, Fei Ren also said solemnly. At the same time, he pulled out the azure dragon halberd from his back and unscrupulously displayed the power of the Dharma golden body. His entire body was filled with a scarlet golden light, and his physique also increased by several feet. This was a tough battle. He did not dare to hold back his strength, and until now, the mysterious person behind the scenes had yet to appear. Ignorant scoundrel, how dare you be rude to the great Thunder Snake God? You deserve to die. The white-haired skinny elder who was the leader of the group said sinisterly as he sized up Fei Ren with his blood-red eyes. A strange smile appeared on his wrinkled old face. Die. As soon as he finished speaking, a level 2 Martial Master Realm elder also flew over. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and he was extremely crazy. These people have already lost their minds. Looks like we have to get rid of them all. Otherwise, that guy will not show up. Holding the azure dragon halberd with his right hand, Fei Ren swept out with his halberd and instantly forced the elder to retreat. Swish! Chila! After a successful attack, Fei Ren's attack did not stop. His figure flashed and appeared in front of another elder. The azure dragon halberd in his hand instantly pierced through the elder's body and nailed him to the wall of the temple. Dharma Fist. Fei Ren's body flickered with a golden light as he punched out again. Accompanied by a scream, another elder fell down powerlessly. His eyes were unfocused, and he couldn't be more dead. In just a few breaths of time, Fei Ren had finished off 3 people. At this moment, only the white-haired skinny elder was left in the temple. His cultivation was also the strongest, around level 4 Martial Master Realm. Although his body had lost its vitality, his strength was still there. The white-haired skinny elder was not killed by Fei Ren's punch. Instead, he barely blocked his attack. Chapter 394. Those who obstruct me die. His blood-red eyes looked at Fei Ren, who was not far away. The white-haired old man's tone was cold, as if he had returned from the netherworld. Boom! A large amount of crimson-red yuan power exploded, like a fiery wave, instantly covering the entire temple. Clearly, the white-haired old man who had lost his mind not only did not lose his strength, but instead increased by a level. His eyes were only filled with killing intent. Not good. His heart tightened. Before Fei Ren could react, a blazing yuan power current swept over, as if it could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. Break! The crimson gold light shone brightly. Facing the sudden attack, Fei Run did not dare to be careless. The power of the Dharma golden body was immediately pushed to the limit, forming layers of indestructible golden armor. At the same time, the veins on his arms were exposed, and the green dragon halberd in his hand pierced out. Boom! Rumble! In an instant, the two different Yuan powers fiercely collided with each other, erupting with a violent aftershock. The originally unstoppable green dragon halberd was also sent flying by the aftershock. Clang! The long halberd flew through the air and then heavily stabbed into the ground not far away. The sharp halberd head emitted a faint trembling sound. The white-haired old man's Yuan power cultivation was only at the 4th level of the martial master realm, and Fei Rin's current strength was enough to deal with him. However, just a moment ago, the old man's body suddenly erupted with a terrifying aura that was comparable to the 6th level of the martial master realm. Wasn't this old man's life force sucked out and turned into a puppet? Why is his strength so much stronger than the previous elders? Fei Rin's figure retreated and landed beside the snake totem. At this moment, his face was filled with bewilderment. Previously, he had frequently used the power of the Dharma golden body, which had consumed a lot of his Yuan power. Although the white-haired old man's strength could not break through his defense, it was definitely not a good thing to drag on like this. After all, the mastermind behind everything had yet to appear, and Fei Rin still needed to conserve his strength. There's no construction without destruction. It's been a long time since I've fought with my life on the line. Taking a deep breath, Fei Rin's face revealed a touch of determination. In the next moment, the spirit ring on his finger flashed, and he instantly summoned Little White. Crock, crock. The smell of gunpowder in the surrounding air became even more intense the moment the puppet Little White appeared. Even the face of the white-haired skinny old man nearby turned sluggish. His originally empty and lifeless eyes revealed a trace of astonishment. After Fei Rin's refinement and the consumption of a lot of magical beast blood essence, the strength of the puppet Whitey had greatly increased. It had reached level 3 martial master realm, and was even stronger than its master. Die! Although he sensed that the puppet's aura was not weak, the white-haired old man who had lost his mind did not show any fear. He immediately flew out again. Boom! As his Yuan power swept out, the white-haired old man's palm flashed with a red light and instantly turned into a fiery red ball of light. Then it directly blasted towards Fei Run and the puppet Little White with great momentum. Croc! Out of instinct to protect its master, before Fei Run could react, the puppet Little White instantly pulled out a white bone from its left arm and turned it into a sharp bone blade. At the same time, it slashed out diagonally in the air. Clang! The sharp bone blade instantly cut through the ball of light and ruthlessly slashed at the white-haired old man's body. At the same time, it made a strange sound of silver and iron colliding. Dharma Fist! Without any pause, Fei Rin's attack came one after another in the next moment. A golden fist swept through the air like a roaring Yuan power dragon, smashing into the left shoulder of the white-haired skinny old man, causing blood to instantly dye the surroundings red. Boom! Facing the combined attack of Fei Run and the puppet Little White, the white-haired old man was finally unable to hold on. His body fell backwards like a kite with a broken string. At the same time, he ruthlessly crashed into the wall of the temple. The aura on his body instantly became incomparably dispirited, and a large patch of pale white appeared on his left shoulder. The large patch of pale white was not a bone, but a piece of pure white mithril ore. Mithril ore was one of the common minerals used to forge high-grade spirit treasures. It was extremely sturdy. This guy has really been completely refined into a puppet. Seeing this scene, Fei Rin's eyes also surged with shock. If it was an ordinary expert of the 4th level of the martial master realm who took a full blow from the puppet Little White's bone blade, even if they did not die, they would be seriously injured. However, the white-haired old man in front of him not only blocked Little White's attack, but also took a full blow from Fei Ren before falling down. Obviously, after being completely refined into a puppet, the white-haired old man's defensive power had increased by a lot. Ordinary weapons would not be able to break through it. It's really a good puppet. It's a pity to destroy it like this. Suddenly, a thought emerged in his mind. Fei Ren also sighed. At the same time, he raised his hand and summoned the puppet Little White to his side, preventing it from cutting the white-haired old man in front of him into 8 pieces. Kid, who are you? Why are you stopping my plan? Suddenly, the white-haired old man who had already fallen down trembled all over and then slowly stood up. Although his eyes were still empty and lifeless, his tone had become the voice of another person, sharp and awe-inspiring. As the main character finally appeared, Fei Ren was not too surprised by the sudden change. His face was cold and serious. A scoundrel who pretends to be mysterious is not worthy of knowing my name. At this moment, facing the question of the white-haired old man, Fei Ren sneered and said disdainfully, "Ha ha ha, arrogant and ignorant ant. I'll let you see who the real scoundrel is." As soon as he finished speaking, the white-haired old man also laughed towards the sky. He let out a strange and eerie laughter. His originally empty eyes flashed with a trace of ridicule and anger. Boom! In the temple, the body of the white-haired old man suddenly expanded by several times and then exploded, turning into a pool of blood. There was no corpse left. In the next moment, an extremely ugly old man wearing a black robe appeared in the middle of the temple. The black-robed old man's body was surrounded by a terrifying black aura, causing people to not dare to approach him. Moreover, his elemental energy fluctuations had already reached the 7th level of the martial master realm. Brat, to be able to force me to personally take action and even make me waste a puppet that I had just refined, you do have some ability, but however, today is the anniversary of your death. After revealing his true body, the black-robed old man also raised his eyes to look at Fei Ren, his eyes revealing killing intent. Kala! As if sensing that the black-robed old man in front of him was a threat to Fei Ren, the puppet Little White suddenly took a step forward and took the initiative to protect Fei Ren behind it. Chapter 395. Puppets were originally a special battle technique that originated from the Western mainland. Some puppeteers who cultivated mental strength could refine powerful puppets through certain puppetry techniques to increase their battle strength. Back then, Fei Ren had obtained this puppet, Whitey, from the White Bone Elder. After engraving it with his blood essence and refining it for a long period of time, it was now one of the main battle strength of the puppet. Currently, Little White was already one of his most important combat forces. Moreover, it was loyal and devoted, without any disloyalty. After all, it was different from ordinary humans. Once a puppet or magical pet was engraved with the host's blood essence, it would follow the host to its death no matter what, unless the host died or the blood essence was stripped away. Junior, do you think you can stop me with just a trash puppet at the level 3 Martial Master Realm? Glancing at the puppet, Whitey, in front of Fei Ren, the black-robed elder's lips curled up and his ugly face revealed a sinister smile. He was a level 7 Martial Master expert, and his mental strength had reached the level 5 Profound Martial Realm. Naturally, he did not put Fei Ren in his eyes. Furthermore, after staying in the Lightning Snake Tribe for more than half a month, the black-robed elder's plan was already more than half complete. He only needed to take the final step. Right now, as long as he got rid of Fei Ren, who was a hindrance, the entire Lightning Snake Tribe will become the black-robed elder's sacrifice to nurture the magical pets in the Black Goo artifact. Old man, you won't know until you try. With a cold snort, Fei Ren immediately swung the green dragon halberd in his hand and flew towards his opponent. Boom! The green dragon halberd pierced through the air, and a large amount of yuan power swept out. It was like a huge golden wave that could topple mountains and overturn seas, instantly enveloping the entire temple. The opponent was able to refine the elders of the lightning snake tribe into puppets with his own strength. Naturally, his strength was not ordinary. Furthermore, the opponent had magical pets. Faerun did not dare to be negligent and immediately attacked with his full strength. Swoosh! Just as Faerun made his move, the puppet Whitey also followed closely behind. It waved a sharp bone blade in its hand and attacked the black-robed elder. Whoosh! Crack! The bone blade pierced through the air and shot towards the black-robed elder like an arrow. Ignorant ant. Facing the joint attack of Faerun and the puppet Little White, the black-robed old man did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. Both his fists were wrapped in black, overbearing strength chi, and then he directly punched out. TSK. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the bone blade and the fist collided fiercely, producing a deafening explosion. Subsequently, Puppet Whitey's attack was also forced back. At the same time, it fell backward. Several bones in its left leg were broken, as if it was almost shattered by the opponent's punch. Break! The black-robed old man shouted loudly once more as he blasted Puppet Whitey back with a punch. At the same time, he blasted out a black origin energy waterfall with a flip of his hand. Boom! The elemental energy instantly wrapped around the Azure Dragon halberd and exploded. At the same time, the Azure Dragon halberd was sent flying out of the temple. In just a short span of a few breaths, the combined attack of Faerun and Puppet Whitey was broken. It was obvious how powerful the black-robed old man was. Brat, without the help of the spiritual treasure and the puppet, what are you going to use to fight me? Today, you will die without a doubt. With a sneer, the black-robed old man looked at Faerun with eyes full of contempt and disdain, as if he was looking at a person who was about to die. In his opinion, the other party was only at the second level of the martial master realm. Without the help of the puppet and the tier 5 spiritual treasure, he would not be able to withstand a single blow. Those idiots who died in my hands, said the same thing back then. Although the other party was strong, Faerun did not give in terms of aura. He also sneered. Sharp-tongued little bastard. Hearing this, the black-robed old man's expression changed slightly. He immediately flew into a rage, as if his anger had been completely ignited by Faerun. Demon Pet, appear. Taking out a black goo weapon from his sleeve, the black-robed old man chanted as if he was summoning something. Swish! Suddenly, a purple light flashed, and in the next moment, a purple toad the size of a millstone appeared in the temple. Croak, croak. The purple toad's eyes were like green beans, and its back was full of lumps. At this moment, it was looking at Faerun with a dangerous gaze, and its magical power was strong. Middle spiritual rank magical beast, purple gold toad. Looking at the purple gold toad that appeared out of nowhere, Faerun's heart skipped a beat, and he narrowed his eyes. Just as he had guessed, it was a middle spiritual rank purple gold toad that poisoned the people of the Thunder Snake tribe. Moreover, this purple gold toad was the demon pet of the black-robed old man before him. This old man is not from the Shadi tribe, nor is he a protector of the holy sect. He is from the devil's sect. Taking a deep breath, in the next moment, strands of golden energy gushed out from Faerun's body. At the same time, his limbs were dyed with a scarlet golden glow, and the veins on his muscles were exposed. His aura was restored to its peak state again. Not only did the other party use living people to refine puppets, he also planned to use living people to cultivate demon pets. Such cruel methods were not used by ordinary warriors, and they were from the devil's sect. As for the people from the devil's sect, most warriors were fearful of them, and even hated them. For example, the Heavenly Dragon sect that was at its peak in the Black Star continent was besieged by the top sects and families of the continent in the name of enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens and eradicating the devil sect. In the end, their energy was greatly damaged, and countless experts in the sect were killed. At the same time, they declined. Purple Gold Toad, go! Under the black-robed old man's command, the middle spiritual rank Purple Gold Toad also let out a strange cry, and at the same time, charged towards Fei Ren. "Oomph, little bastard. Let's see how long you can last this time." From the black-robed old man's point of view, Fei Ren was only a level 2 martial master, and there was no need for him to do it himself. A middle spiritual rank purple gold toad was enough to kill him. Dharma Fist. Facing the purple gold toad's attack, Fei Ren did not dodge. With the support of the Dharma golden body, he punched out. Bang! The golden fist force smashed into the purple gold toad's abdomen, and then forced it back, splashing a pool of black venom. The abdomen was the purple gold toad's weakness, and at the same time, it was also its venom sac. Although the purple gold toad's venom could devour the essence of living creatures, under the dual defense of the Dharma golden body and the protective origin energy, this bit of venom could not hurt Fei Ren at all. Sizzle. The venom splashed, and a part of it fell on Fei Ren's body. However, in the next moment, it was evaporated by the red golden light, not causing any injuries. Even his defense was not broken, and the red golden light was still shining brightly. At this moment, Fei Ren was like a young Bodhidharma martial monk, standing firmly on the spot like a mountain. This little bastard's cultivation method is so powerful. Could it be an 8th grade cultivation method? Seeing this scene, the black-robed old man's eyes flashed with surprise. Chapter 396. After all, Fei Ren's cultivation was only at the 2nd level of the martial master realm, but he was able to completely suppress the purple gold toad and gain the upper hand. Obviously, the cultivation method that Lin Fan cultivated was not ordinary. Moreover, regardless of attack, defense, or speed, Fei Ren was far superior to ordinary warriors of the same level. He was comparable to a LV6 martial master. This kid cannot be allowed to live. With such a thought, the killing intent in the black-robed elder's eyes intensified. Boom! In the temple, a golden fist pierced through the void. The originally fierce, purple gold toad was forced into a corner by Fei Ren. Croak, croak! A pair of bean-like eyes flashed with fear. The purple gold toad opened its mouth and spat out a ball of pitch-black venom toward Fei Ren, who was not far away. This move again. Facing the incoming black venom, Fei Ren's face turned cold. He immediately raised his hand and blasted out a golden beam of origin energy. With the support of the Bodhidharma golden body, the power of his casual attack was comparable to an LV6 martial master. It was enough to kill any existence below LV6 martial master. Although the purple gold toad's demonic energy fluctuations were not ordinary, it was only a middle spiritual level demonic beast. Unless it broke through to the high spiritual level, it would not be able to threaten Fei Ren and hurt him. Croak! The golden beam of origin energy ruthlessly whipped the purple gold toad's vital abdomen. In the next moment, the purple gold toad let out a miserable cry. The poison sac in its abdomen was shattered, leaving behind a trail of blood. Although it had an extraordinary amount of demonic energy in its body, it was unable to contend against Fei Ren, a freak. Moreover, Fei Ren kept attacking its vital abdomen. In a short while, it was covered in wounds, and its aura fluctuated sharply. Die! The golden fist crossed the sky, and Fei Ren sent the purple gold toad flying with another punch. Little bastard, stop! At this moment, seeing Fei Ren injuring the purple gold toad with another punch, the black-robed elder who was watching the battle finally could not hold back and shouted in anger. This middle spiritual level purple gold toad was a demonic pet that he had painstakingly cultivated. It was also one of his treasures. Naturally, he could not watch Fei Ren kill this purple gold toad. Moreover, from the beginning, the black-robed elder had underestimated Fei Ren's strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent his magic pet to fight Fei Ren one-on-one. This was tantamount to sending his life away. Soul-snatching hand. With a loud shout, Fei Ren's figure transformed into a black shadow. The black-robed old man's yuan power surged as he raised his hand to grab at Fei Ren's head. Essence force swept out in all directions, and the black wind whistled, as if a malicious spirit had crawled out from hell. The power of this move was enough to kill any LV6 Martial Master. However, just as the black-robed old man's attack was about to land on Fei-Ren's body, a white light suddenly flashed and rushed towards Fei-Ren. Boom! His palm energy exploded, and his elemental energy wreaked havoc. Not far away, Little White, who had been standing still, suddenly woke up. At the same time, it used its skeletal body to block the black-robed old man's furious attack. Crack! Crack! White E's skeleton shattered as it took the full force of the black-robed elder's attack head-on. At this moment, Whitey was also falling apart. Its entire skeleton shattered, and it had completely lost its ability to fight. After all, the black-robed elder was an LV7 Martial Master expert, while the puppet Little White only had the strength of an LV3 Martial Master. If not for its instinct to protect its master, it would not have taken the initiative to die and block the blade for Fei-Ren. Moreover, a puppet was a puppet after all. Even if it was destroyed, it could be repaired in the future. There was nothing to feel sorry about. So, taking advantage of the time that Little White had bought, Fei-Ren followed up his victory and charged towards the purple gold toad. Die! With a heavy punch, golden essence force swept out in all directions. Rumble! The powerful golden fist force ruthlessly smashed into the purple gold toad's vital point in its abdomen. The poison sac that was already broken completely rotted, and blood and poison flowed all over the ground. The purple gold toad didn't even have the time to let out any miserable cries before it fell down with a loud bang, completely dead. In the end, a mid-level spirit rank magical beast wasn't a match for Fei-Ren. Ah! Little bastard, I want you to die without a burial ground. The black-robed old man howled towards the sky. At this moment, the black-robed old man was furious to the extreme when he saw the violet gold toad perish in an instant. His expression became extremely mad while his eyes were completely red. He was like a ferocious beast that had lost its mind from rage, and he'd completely lost all reason. After all, this mid-level spirit rank purple gold toad was one of the black-robed old man's beloved magical pets. Its status and priority were extremely high. Although the black-robed old man had other magical pets in his goo artifact other than this purple gold toad, their demonic power and bloodline were not very good. They were far from reaching the spirit rank. Therefore, when he saw Fei-Ren kill this mid-level spirit rank purple gold toad, the black-robed old man was naturally furious. Out! A black goo artifact was thrown out from his sleeve. In the next moment, the black-robed old man's aura rose again and again. Soon, he reached the peak of the 7th level Martial Master realm. What is this old man trying to do? Retreating to the side, he kept the broken puppet, Little White, into his spirit ring. Fei-Ren also swallowed a few recovery pills, his eyes filled with shock and solemnity. Hiss! Bang! With a flash of green light, a peak profound, rank, jade-patterned red, refined snake rushed out of the black goo artifact. However, before it could make a move, it exploded in the next moment. Blood splattered everywhere, and the snake's body was nowhere to be seen. At the same time, a variety of poisonous creatures also crawled out of the black goo artifact. However, none of them were spared. They all expanded and exploded, turning into pools of black blood as if they were committing suicide. Walala, black blood flowed everywhere, and the air was suddenly filled with a thick and disgusting smell of blood. Soul-snatching, blood-sucking technique. At this moment, the black-robed old man suddenly stretched out his hands and formed a strange seal. The black blood that was originally flowing everywhere also gathered and surged towards his 7 orifices as if it was being guided. The scene was strange. Level 8 Martial Master Realm. As all the black blood entered his body, the black-robed old man's aura finally reached a peak. His eyes were red, and at the same time, His body emitted a terrifying origin energy fluctuation, comparable to a level 8 martial master realm expert. What kind of demonic art is this? In the face of this strange change, Faerun secretly swallowed his saliva, his expression horrified. Originally, with his current strength, he could barely contend against a level 7 martial master realm expert. Facing the black-robed old man whose strength had soared to level 8 martial master realm. Even if he used all his trump cards, his chances of winning were less than 30%. This old man used some kind of martial art to absorb all the demonic power of his demonic pet, causing his strength to soar several times in a short period of time. Damn it, I was careless. Thinking of this, Faerun's face darkened. The other party was a demonic Dao expert, so it was not strange for him to have such means. His biggest mistake was to underestimate the black-robed old man's trump cards and strength. Originally, Faerun thought that the battle situation would be reversed after killing the middle spiritual rank purple gold toad. However, it seemed that the current life and death situation was still not over. Chapter 397. Little bastard, give me your life. Without waiting for Faerun to catch his breath, the black-robed old man's angry roar came from the void again. Swoosh! In the next moment, the old man leaped forward and a large amount of black essence force swept towards Faerun's vital points like a wave. Boom! Facing the threat of life and death, the scarlet golden light on Faerun's body flickered incessantly. At the same time, the power of the Dharma golden body was exerted to the limit, and a punch blasted out. Boom! The rolling golden fist force collided with the black wave head-on, and immediately a roar resounded through the world. In an instant, the remaining essence force burst out and spread out. The entire temple was also on the verge of collapse at this moment, as if it could not withstand the impact of such a powerful force, and would completely collapse in the next moment. Boom! Another roar was heard, and in the next moment, the temple finally could not withstand the impact of the power and collapsed in all directions, turning into a ruin. Swoosh! Leaping into the air, Faerun also broke through the layers of dust and arrived above the sky. I can't drag on like this any longer. With my current essence force, I can at most last for an incense stick's worth of time. Looking at the temple that had turned into a mess below, Faerun's eyes were solemn, and his expression was solemn. In the state of the Dharma golden body, he could certainly fight above his level and easily kill the enemy. However, frequently using the Dharma golden body consumed a lot of Faerun's essence force. With the little essence force left in his dantian, he could only maintain the state of the Dharma golden body for an incense stick's worth of time. If he could not end the battle and kill the black-robed old man after an incense stick's worth of time, then he would fall into a dangerous situation. Little bastard, the power of your fist has weakened. Why? Have you reached your limit? At this moment, a black shadow cut through the sky. In the next moment, the black-robed old man also soared into the sky and landed not far away from Faerun, his eyes revealing killing intent. His original plan had already been carried out by more than half, and he was only one step away from being able to reel in the net and cultivate a powerful advanced spiritual rank, or even a top spiritual rank pet. However, all of his plans had been destroyed by Faerun alone. When he thought of this, the hatred in the black-robed old man's heart grew even stronger. He wished that he could immediately tear Faerun into pieces and die without a burial ground. Old bastard, I haven't lost yet. Although the other party had guessed his identity, Faerun's mouth was still merciless. He sneered coldly, his tone mocking. Initially, he did not know about the black-robed old man's plan. However, he was now fully aware of it. The other party intended to use the Lightning Snake tribe as a petri dish and the hundreds of thousands of tribesmen as living nutrients. Once the number of infected people reached a certain level, the spirit rank middle-level purple gold toad would be able to go on a killing spree. At the same time, It would devour these infected tribesmen to increase its magic power and break through the bloodline shackles. Even Fei Run was extremely shocked by such a cruel and vicious plan. Naturally, he wouldn't let the other party succeed so easily. Little bastard, die. Not intending to argue with Fei Run, the black-robed old man immediately charged towards Fei Run. Boom! As his palm flew through the air, a majestic black yuan power swept out in all directions. It was as if a dark cloud had covered the sky. Its aura was terrifying. Quick, look, what is that? It's the direction of the temple. Could something have happened? Quick, go and ask the elders. At this moment, a portion of the tribesmen in the Lightning Snake tribe had also discovered the strange phenomenon in the temple. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. The battle between Fei Run and the black-robed old man was simply too intense and shocking. In an instant, the weather changed. Not only the sky above the temple, half of the Lightning Snake tribe was shrouded by a terrifying aftershock. It was as if the world had suddenly changed. That is, our benefactor. Faced with the sudden change, Tai Lei, who was one of the members of the hunter group, hurried over. After discovering that the person fighting with the black-robed old man was Fei Run, his expression changed slightly. After all, the other party's Yuan power cultivation was only at level 2 Martial Master. On the other hand, the Yuan power fluctuation on the black-robed old man's body was comparable to level 8 Martial Master. There was a difference of 6 small realms, but they were able to fight to a standstill. It was enough to show that Fei Ren's strength was extraordinary. Brother, what happened? At this moment, Tai Xan followed closely behind and came to Tai Lei's side. Originally, she and Tai Lei had planned to wait for Fei Ren's news. However, they did not expect such a change to occur. Something has happened. I can't feel the Yuan power aura of the elders. Tai Lei's gaze was fixed on the sky battlefield, not far away. His brows were tightly knitted together. This person's Yuan power aura makes one's heart palpitate. Furthermore, the martial arts and cultivation techniques he uses are extremely strange. It's obvious that he's not from the 5 major tribes. Sister, our benefactor is right. Our tribe should be targeted by this person. This person is a demonic cultivator. Tai Lei's tone was solemn as he turned to look at Tai Xan. As a member of the Thunder Snake tribe, he naturally could not stand by and do nothing in the face of a strong enemy's invasion. Furthermore, if he was not wrong, the elders of the tribe should have also been killed. None of them were spared. After all, the black-robed old man who was fighting with Fei Run was a level 8 Martial Master expert. The strongest among the elders of the Thunder Snake tribe was only at level 4 Martial Master. Even if all of them joined forces, they might not be able to contend against the black-robed old man. So he's not some saint protector. Damn it. Brother, we can't let this guy destroy the tribe and harm our people. Tai Xan clenched her fists tightly. Her beautiful face was also filled with anger and determination. At this moment, due to the intense battle between Fei Run and the black-robed old man, some of the remaining Yuan power splashed in all directions. At the same time, a portion of the Thunder Snake tribe's people were annihilated. In an instant, the land was filled with wails, and the people were in a terrible situation. In a short while, close to 1,000 of the tribe's people were buried in the aftermath of the intense battle between the two. However, in the face of such a cruel scene, Fei Run was helpless. Although he did not want these innocent people to be affected, the black-robed old man's strength was too strong. He could not afford to be distracted at all. Once he took action to protect the tribe's people below, the next one to die would be himself. Boom! In the sky, a bright flame mixed with Yuan power suddenly fell to the ground. In an instant, it ignited a large number of houses. A portion of the tribe's people who could not escape in time were also buried in the sea of fire. Kacha! The roof beam broke and a huge piece of wood fell. Woo woo woo. Mummy. Below, a little girl with a red face and a twisted braid was crying loudly. Her eyes were filled with panic and fear. This little girl was not even 6 years old. Her weak body was unable to withstand the impact of the falling wood. Once she was hit, she would definitely die. Swoosh! Rumble! At the critical moment, just as the falling wood was about to hit the little girl, a red figure crossed the sky and rushed over. In an instant, she carried the little girl by her waist and carried her to the side. "Little girl, are you all right?" Looking at the little girl in her arms who was still teary-eyed, Tai Exine heaved a sigh of relief. Her beautiful face revealed a comforting smile. No matter what, she finally managed to catch up at the last moment. Chapter 398. Thank you, big sister. Looking at the gentle Tai Exine in front of her, the panicked little girl was stunned. She said softly with tears in her eyes, "Shall you?" Suddenly, a woman's hurried shout came from the side. In the next moment, a middle-aged woman in her 30s rushed over. Her face was filled with panic, and she seemed to be the little girl's mother. "That's great. Shall you're fine." Reaching out to take the little girl from Tai Exine's arms, the middle-aged woman's tears fell like rain. She then looked at Tai Exine and Tai Lei, bowing her head and thanking them. "Thank you so much for little you's safety." Due to the intense battle in the sky, the entire Thunder Snake tribe was in a sea of fire and chaos. If not for Tai Lei and his sister blocking the impact of the remaining Yuan power, the mother and daughter would have been doomed. After all, most of the people in the Thunder Snake tribe were ordinary people without the strength to truss a chicken. There were very few martial artists. The few martial artists had joined the hunter group in the tribe, not to mention Tai Lei and his sister who were both martial masters. "You're welcome. Quickly find a safe place to hide." Nodding her head, Tai Exine blushed and said, "Sister, we have to support our benefactor." After saving the mother and daughter, Tai Lei raised his head to look at the sky again. His gaze fell on the intense battle between Fei Run and the black-robed old man. Although the other party was an outsider martial artist, he had saved his life many times. Just based on this point alone, the two siblings couldn't just stand by and watch the show unfold. Moreover, the Thunder Snake tribe was in a huge crisis. If Fei Run was defeated, they would also be in trouble. After all, if the lips were gone, the teeth would be interdependent. Even if the two of them were weak and could not help much, they would not allow the black-robed old man to do whatever he wanted in the Thunder Snake tribe and harm the innocent people. The black-robed old man's Yuan power cultivation is at level 7 martial master. Furthermore, I don't know what kind of demonic art he used to increase his strength to level 8 martial master. Brother, the two of us might not be his match. After saying that, Tai Exine's face turned grave. It was not that she was afraid, but the difference in strength between the two of them was too great. Her cultivation was only at the first level of the martial master realm. On the other hand, Tai Lei's cultivation level was only slightly higher. He had reached the second level of the martial master realm. The two siblings could not interfere in this battle at all. "We have to fight even if we can't win. We can't just wait for death." With a cold shout, Tai Lei made a prompt decision and said, "Sister, go and gather the remaining members of the hunter group in the tribe. Those who are martial masters and above, gather here and wait for an opportunity to support our benefactor in the battle. The remaining warriors will do their best to rescue the injured and settle down the tribe's people. Even if they couldn't win in a head-on fight, they still had the advantage of numbers. The current situation was critical, and the elders of the tribe had already met with misfortune. This was the best decision that Tai Lei could think of. All right. Seeing this, Tai Exine gritted her teeth and immediately flew in the other direction of the tribe. In the sky, the fierce battle continued. Boom! A black wave of origin energy spread out like a millstone of dark clouds. It instantly forced Fei Ren's figure to fall back. Little bastard, although your cultivation method is powerful and mysterious, it can only last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, right? Looking at Fei Ren, who had fallen behind, the black-robed old man laughed sinisterly. His ugly face trembled slightly, like a disgusting maggot. It's enough to kill you. Ignoring the black-robed old man's probing and provocation, Fei Rin's figure turned into a shadow and rushed out again. Although he was close to his limit, there was a time limit to the soul-stealing, blood-sucking technique that his opponent had used. He could not maintain the combat strength of a level 8 martial master. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the brave will win. In this battle, Fei Rin could only advance. He could not retreat. Boom, boom. Majestic golden origin energy swept out from Fei Rin's body and turned into a gorgeous flame. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a sea of fire. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sea of fire churned and whistled. In the next moment, it turned into countless flaming arrows and shot straight at the black-robed old man. The rain of flaming arrows instantly covered half the sky, as if tens of thousands of arrows were shot at the same time. After losing his natal spiritual treasure, the green dragon halberd, Fei Rin could only rely on his own golden origin energy to fight with the Dharma golden body. Although the power of this move was far inferior to the Dharma fist, it was still not something an ordinary warrior could withstand. It was mixed with a trace of Fei Rin's mental strength. If the flaming arrows touched anyone below the level 3 martial master realm, they would be burned to ashes on the spot. Insignificant tricks. How can you hurt me? Facing the flaming arrows that filled the sky, the black-robed old man still smiled coldly. At the same time, he stretched out his skinny right palm and clenched it. Bang! A large amount of black origin energy gushed out and instantly annihilated the flaming arrows. They were unable to get close to the black-robed old man. Die! After breaking Fei Rin's attack with one palm, the black-robed old man's figure flashed and disappeared. At the same time, he punched heavily on Fei Rin's chest, sending him flying again. Poochie! In the sky, Fei Rin, who had taken the black-robed old man's punch, only had a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He did not fall down on the spot. In the next moment, the aura around his body soared several times. At the same time, his eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Level 3 Martial Master Realm. His weak body was once again filled with explosive power. Fei Rin's face was filled with excitement, and his eyes burned with fighting spirit. At the critical moment, not only did his origin energy cultivation break through, his dantian, which was almost dried up, was once again filled with vitality. His origin energy recovered to its peak state. How could this little bastard? He actually broke through? At this moment, the black-robed old man, who had also noticed the strange changes in Fei Rin's body, was also shocked. His turbid yellow eyes were filled with disbelief. Originally, he thought that this punch would definitely kill Fei Rin. However, he never expected that in the end, it would become his opponent's whetstone. Under the immense pressure of life and death, as well as the stimulation of battle, Fei Rin's origin energy cultivation unexpectedly broke through. He had stepped in a level 3 martial master realm, breaking through in battle. Generally speaking, only talented geniuses who were 1 in 10,000 could do it. Although the black-robed old man had heard of this before, he had never seen it before. It was only today, when he fought with Fei Rin, that he saw it with his own eyes. Old man, I have to thank you for successfully breaking through this time. After letting out a deep breath of turbid air, Fei Rin looked up at the black-robed old man in the sky not far away. Although he was not a match for his opponent at first, now that his origin energy cultivation had broken through and his strength had increased greatly, the scales of victory had finally begun to tilt towards his side. The black-robed old man's soul-stealing blood-sucking technique was a forbidden technique of the Devil Tao. It had a time limit and needed to absorb a large amount of blood essence. Once the forbidden technique was removed, the black-robed old man's origin energy cultivation would fall to level 7 martial master realm. As long as he could hold on until then, Fei Rin would have the opportunity to kill his opponent. Chapter 400. The metal token was dark, and the lines on it were very clear. On the back of the token, There was a big word, sure, which was quite strange. After the black-robed old man self-destructed, not only was there no corpse left, even the spirit ring on his body was completely turned into ashes. Faerun only obtained the metal token left behind by the old man. As for the other things, he did not obtain anything else. Could it be some kind of token? Looking at the metal token in his palm, Faerun's face was filled with suspicion. Since this metal token could withstand the shockwave of the huge explosion without any damage, it was not made of ordinary metal. It was far beyond ordinary minerals. However, what made Faerun surprised was that he did not feel any spiritual energy fluctuations from this metal token. Obviously, this was not a spiritual item of heaven and earth, nor was it a soul treasure weapon. Forget it. I'll study it in the future. Faerun furrowed his brows. Since he could not find any clues, he gave up on studying the iron token. Benefactor, it's great that you're fine. At this time, a black and a red figure flew over from the horizon. One of them was filled with joy. It was Tylay. Beside Tylay, Tyaxian's eyes were also filled with shock. Her face was filled with astonishment, as if she had not recovered from the intense battle. From her point of view, Faerun, who was merely a level 3 martial master, was able to fight evenly with the level 7 martial master black-robed old man, and even forced him to self-destruct. Such strength could be said to be a martial arts genius that was rarely seen in 100 years. Moreover, Tyaxian had never seen a martial arts genius of this level since she was young. She only knew from the mouths of some elders that there were such martial arts geniuses in the 5 most famous tribes in the Qatar Desert. However, there were very few of them. This old man counterattacked before he died. Fortunately, I was prepared. Otherwise, I might have fallen into his trap. When he saw Tylay and his sister rush over, Faerun retrieved the metal token and opened his mouth to speak. This bastard is finally dead. The crisis of our Thunder Snake tribe can also be resolved. Although Tylay had already guessed the outcome, he secretly clenched his fists when he heard Faerun say it with his own mouth. A trace of relief appeared on his tanned face, as if he had finally heaved a sigh of relief. After all, the black-robed old man was a level 7 martial master expert, and even the elders of the Thunder Snake tribe were no match for him. If it wasn't for Faerun's help this time, even if all the members of the hunter group were to attack together, they wouldn't be a match for the other party. In the end, the entire Thunder Snake tribe's people would suffer and become living sacrifices for the magical pet. Faerun, thank you for saving our tribe and our people. I have a good impression of you. Tyaxian pursed her lips. Her pretty face was flushed red as she spoke in a soft voice. She looked at Faerun with a strange expression in her eyes. After these few days of contact and witnessing the other party's powerful strength, she was gradually attracted to Faerun. After all, young girls yearn for love and beauties loved heroes. In the world of martial artists where the strong preyed on the weak, no matter how good-looking one was, it wasn't as practical as having a strong fist. If one had enough strength, not only could one obtain what one wanted, one could also truly control one's own destiny. Miss Tyaxian, you're too kind. I'm ashamed to say that although the old man is dead, this battle caused quite a lot of damage to your tribe. There were also some casualties among the people. Faced with Tyaxian's ambiguous gesture, Faerun rubbed his nose and laughed dryly. He wasn't trying to be modest, but it was the truth. In the previous battle with the black-robed old man, Faerun gave it his all and didn't dare to be distracted. As for the residual energy that sputtered in all directions, it also affected a portion of the Thunder Snake tribe's people. The Thunder Snake tribe originally had a population of about 500,000 people. Now, there were at least 10,000 injured and more than 1,000 dead. Even so, Benefactor, you still saved our tribe. You are our savior. My sister has always admired heroes since she was young. For a hero like you, Benefactor, hearing this, Tylay nodded solemnly and clenched his fist. With regard to his sister's thoughts, he was naturally very clear. If Faerun could marry Tyaxian, it would undoubtedly be a joyous occasion for the Thundersnake tribe. Tai Lei, however, a shout came from afar. In the next moment, a few martial master experts in long robes and short bows flew over. Their voices were hurried. Like Tai Lei, they were members of the Thundersnake tribe's hunter group. In the black-robed old man's self-destruction, these martial master experts were lucky enough to escape. Among them, only a portion of them suffered light injuries, and no one died. I'm fine. Sorry for making you guys worry. Looking at the martial master experts in front of him, Tai Lei raised his hand and scratched his head, revealing a silly smile. My brother is powerful. Unlike you guys, he won't die so easily. At the side, Tai Xian restrained her expression and snorted. Her pair of beautiful eyes revealed some pride. Tai Lei, your sister is still so sharp-tongued, but it's great that you're fine. After saying that, one of the middle-aged men with a sallow face smiled awkwardly and kept the weapon in his hand. This is our tribe's benefactor, young hero Fei Run. Tai Lei nodded his head and looked at Fei Run. Then, he introduced Fei Run to the crowd. His tone was filled with admiration. Unlike him and Tai Xian, this was the first time the members of the hunter group had seen Fei Run in person. Thank you, young hero Fei Run, for saving us. You are the savior of the Thunder Snake tribe. That's right, benefactor. Please accept my bow. The Thunder Snake tribe has nothing to repay you. We can only thank you heavily. Hearing this, the members of the hunter group looked at Fei Run in unison. Then, they cupped their fists together, and their eyes were full of respect. Everyone, you're too kind. Facing such a huge lineup, Fei Run was stunned at first. Then he smiled helplessly. Although he did not obtain the information he wanted, he had successfully broken through in his cultivation. This trip was not in vain. As for the Thundersnake tribe's reward, he did not care much about it. After all, the Thundersnake tribe was only a small tribe with a population of about 500,000. They basically did not have many treasures. The only thing that could be considered a treasure was the white-haired, skinny old man who had died in the temple. The jade blood bead in his hand was considered a good treasure. It contained rich heaven and earth yuan qi that could be absorbed to increase one's cultivation. However, the atmospheric energy in the jade blood pearl had been stolen and devoured by the black-robed old man to increase his cultivation. Now, it had turned into useless dust. Chapter 4:01. Everyone, now that the strong enemy has been eliminated, I shall take my leave first. Looking around, Fei Run immediately cupped his hands and flew down to the ground. Compared to the thanks from Tai Lei and the rest, he had more important things to do. This old man stayed in the Thunder Snake tribe for more than half a month. It shouldn't be just to cultivate a magic pet. Fei Run's figure slowly landed on the temple that had been reduced to ruins. He was deep in thought. Just like what Tai Lei had said earlier, the Thunder Snake tribe had almost exhausted the entire tribe's strength for the past half a month. All the food, tributes, and treasures were given to the black-robed old man who was disguised as the Saint Protector. Although the black-robed old man had fallen, these treasures might still be left behind in the temple. Boom! Raising his hand to circulate his origin energy, Fei Run blasted the collapsed wall in front of him, revealing the scene inside. Nothing. Looking at the empty space in front of him, Fei Run's figure flashed and left. The temple had already been reduced to ruins. There were broken bricks and tiles everywhere. It would be difficult to find anything from them. However, his mental energy was close to the 4th level of the profound martial realm, and his sensing ability was very good. Therefore, he could determine the specific direction of the treasure based on the fluctuation of spiritual energy. Found it. After searching for a moment in the ruins, Fei Run suddenly stopped. At the same time, his eyes lit up as his gaze slowly fell on a corner of the wall. There was a small jade box quietly placed there. Although the jade box looked ordinary and was covered with dirt and dust, there was a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy emitting from it. There must be a treasure hidden inside. Whoosh! Leaping to the corner, Fei Run raised his hand and kept the small jade box in his palm. Although the black-robed old man had plundered many treasures in the Thunder Snake tribe, he didn't seem to have time to digest them. Now, it was Fei Run who benefited from it. This is gently opening the small jade box. Fei Ren's pupils couldn't help but shrink. A small round crystal slowly appeared in front of him. The round crystal was blood red, and there was a shadow floating in the middle. It was very strange. Mother Bloodstone! Exclaiming in a low voice, Fei Ren's delicate face was filled with surprise. Just as he had guessed, this small jade box really did contain a treasure. Moreover, it was not an ordinary treasure, but a rare Mother Bloodstone. Mother Blood Essence Stone was a rare spirit energy mineral. It was similar to a Source Stone, but its quality and effects were far superior. This treasure was rich in blood energy and energy. A martial artist could absorb the blood energy and energy contained within, greatly increasing the strength of their physique and cultivation. In the outside world, a Mother Blood Essence Stone was something that could only be chanced upon by luck. Its value was no less than a high-grade origin stone, deeply favored by body refinement martial artists. In addition, the Mother Blood Essence Stone had an even more unique effect. It could be used as a seed to cultivate a large number of blood essence stones. As everyone knew, the birth of mineral veins was not accidental, but had a source. If a lode of primordial stones wanted to produce an endless supply of primordial stones, there would definitely be a mother lode in the depths of the lode. The power of the mother lode was to allow ordinary ores to produce spirit energy, which would then turn into primordial stones that contained elemental energy. As for the Mother Blood Essence Stone, it was the same principle. The Mother Blood Essence Stone was different from ordinary blood essence stones. Not only did it contain more blood energy and energy, but it could also allow ordinary ores to produce spirit energy, turning them into blood essence stones that contain blood energy and energy. I'm rich. I never thought that a small Thunder Snake tribe would actually possess a treasure like the Mother Blood Essence Stone. That old man must have wanted to use the Mother Blood Essence Stone as a seed to obtain an endless supply of blood essence stones. I almost let that old man take advantage of me. Thinking of this, Fei Ren's face revealed a trace of emotion. This Mother Blood Essence Stone was plundered by the black-robed old man from the Lightning Snake tribe. Just like the Jade Blood Pearl from before, if he had not intervened in time, the black-robed old man would have kept the Mother Blood Essence Stone and used it to nurture rare blood essence stones. With this Mother Blood Essence Stone, this trip was not in vain. After placing the Mother Blood Essence Stone back into the jade box and keeping it in the spirit ring, Fei Ren exhaled a breath of air with joy in his eyes. Compared to the breakthrough in his Yuan power cultivation, obtaining a rare Mother Blood Essence Stone today made him feel more excited. The Mother Blood Essence Stone could cultivate rare blood essence stones. The value of a blood essence stone was not lower than a mid-grade primordial stone. In the eyes of some body refinement martial artists, it could even be exchanged for a few mid-grade primordial stones, which was hundreds of low-grade primordial stones. The quality of the Mother Blood Essence Stone in Fei Ren's hands was very good. There were no flaws on the surface of the crystal, or, as long as the time and conditions were right, it could produce a large amount of high-quality blood essence stones. In other words, Fei Ren now had a moving blood essence stone mine in his hands. As long as the Mother Blood Essence Stone was in his hands, he could obtain a large amount of blood essence stones and make a fortune. Although the Mother Blood Essence Stone was rare, it also required some conditions and time to cultivate blood essence stones. Generally speaking, the Mother Blood Essence Stone could produce 1 or 2 blood essence stones every day if it was held in one's hands. However, if this treasure was directly buried deep underground, it would turn into a mine after a few years. It would produce spiritual energy and give birth to a large amount of blood essence stones. There were pros and cons to choosing one of the two. As for whether to bury the Mother Blood Essence Stone into a fixed mine, Fei Ren had not decided yet. After all, if he kept the Mother Blood Essence Stone in the spirit ring, He could obtain 1 or 2 rare blood essence stones every day. It was not a loss. 3 days later, outside the Thunder Snake tribe, Tai Exine bit her lips. "Fei Run, are you really leaving?" After these days of contact, she became more and more dependent on Fei Rin. However, the more she interacted with him, the more Tai Exine gradually understood that they were not from the same world. "Yes, these days I'll have to trouble Miss Tai Exine to take care of me." Looking at the hesitant Tai Exine in front of him, Fei Rin nodded his head. In these few days, he had collected enough food and water in the Thunder Snake tribe. It was time to leave. Fei Rin was naturally aware of Tai Exine's admiration for him. However, he was not willing to be entangled by love and could only cut off this strand of love. Moreover, apart from looking for clues about the Sandworm King, Fei Rin also wanted to find out about the Desert Dynasty's treasure from 10,000 years ago. As for the Thunder Snake tribe, it was only a small tribe with a population of 500,000 in the Katter Desert. It would be difficult for them to provide more clues about the treasure. "Benefactor, I can't repay you for saving my life. Here is a map of the Katter Desert that the elders collected back then. It recorded the addresses of the 5 major tribes and some secret information. It should be able to help you." At this point, Tai lay handed over a scroll and grinned. There was a hint of helplessness in his smile. He naturally understood his sister's thoughts, but there was nothing he could do about it. The other party was a rare martial arts genius. Naturally, she would not stay in a small place like the Thunder Snake tribe. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.